All right, what's going on, guys? Trev back again, here to bring you another video. This one's going to be an attempted live stream. We'll see how things go with this one. I'm going to start it a little bit early today, so it's only about 7:40 right now, p.m. Eastern time. Usually we start a little bit later, but I'm sure there's lots of stuff to go over with you guys. So I decided, why don't we just kind of start it now and get it going early. Carol, look at the flowers is here, so that's good. Hey, Trev. Michael McMahon, how you doing, Mike? How's it going? Hey, Jack, how you doing, man? And Guts is here. Yep, Miguel, and we got Short Round and Destiny Aldridge. Hey, Destiny, and thank you guys for joining me already. So let's see if maybe there's more people around a little bit earlier. Let's get started early. That way, if we kind of go late, then it won't be so bad. That's if our connection holds up. Let's see how that goes. And they're having a party next door, so that could be kind of loud. So let's see how that goes. Hey, Maiden Wool, how you doing? And Nikki, Kendall, how's it going? Boots of Spanish leather and ear slaughter, which is good. So that's fun. So at least thank you guys for joining me for a little bit. Yeah, this one might be a little bit longer, so I decided, why don't we get rolling early, and then people can kind of join in as they want to a little bit later on, more closer to the regular time. We got Dory Nichols and Max and Janie. Hey, Janie, how are you doing? Oh, thanks. Yeah, I buzzed it, so I think I did an okay job. And Rob, how you doing, man? Did you watch Social Dilemma yet on Netflix? So I haven't seen Social Dilemma yet, Rob. Let me add that one down, and I'll check that out. I still want to watch The Boys. I'm still behind on the Boys. Just been basically doing my thing and covering TWD's ending news, which is crazy to hear. Walking Dead reboot. Yeah. Hey, Diana, how you doing? And Max, good stuff. Maddie. And I guess I should start. I did miss a super chat this week, which I want to go through, which was from Kidman 104. So I'm going to put that in here to start. And then if he joins later on, I'll tell him to come back to the beginning so he can hear his questions answered. So thank you for the super chat, Kidman. And he had said this week in the video for the ending, he sent through a super chat in the premiere video, but I wasn't actually awake at that time. So I said it to premiere. I might not do that again because I guess people can live chat in the premiere videos like a live stream, but it wasn't a live stream. I wasn't actually there. I had filmed it prior. So sorry about that, Kidman. My mistake. And so his question was, he said that happy at least we're getting a Carol Daryl spinoff series. I always thought The Walking Dead had a problem since season 7 on jumping back and forth on characters and introducing weird ones that die off quickly. So they always have sort of each season, like their season characters. You have your Miltons, you have your different ones that kind of come in for 1 year and then they're gone. Or they come in for maybe, like your villains obviously are not going to last that long probably. But sometimes you have ones like Gamma, for example. She would be like a seasoned character that just come in for a little bit and then they're killed off pretty quickly. Or maybe they last a couple years. Now, sometimes they switch it up and you have a character like Tara, who nobody expects to live for very long. And she ends up living into like the 9th season, which was a really long time for her, considering we didn't think she would last that long. And then you have others like Beth, who kind of last maybe in the middle, like to season 5's mid-season finale. So depends on which ones, but it's good news that they're going to be doing the Carol and Daryl spinoff series. I'm happy to hear that. I wonder if they're going to do 16 episodes for it. If so, it almost might just be Walking Dead ending in name, and then the Daryl and Carol spinoff series will kind of be your Walking Dead after that, at least for probably a couple more years. But I think Melissa McBride and Norman Reedus signed 3-year deals, I think. So those were about coming up to the end anyway, be it season 11 or season 12, something like that. Maybe they signed on for a certain amount of episodes or something to that effect. I'm also not sure why they decided to do such an extended season 11 and make it 24 episodes instead of cutting it at 15 or a little less and then doing a season 12 just in name. It's just weird to say that it's season 11 where it's ending and not past that. Maybe they think because the season numbers are getting so high that maybe that's got a negative impact. Like, oh, they've done so much of it, so they just kind of want to relaunch it and rebrand it so it doesn't feel like you're doing so many episodes. It doesn't feel like there's so many, right? He'd also sent through originally, all good. My comment was, do you overall think The Walking Dead would have lasted longer if it focused on Rick and his core group like the comics instead of jumping back and forth with different groups? Because I felt after season 6, we had to always wait 2 to 3 weeks to see Rick or Daryl in an episode. Well, I think the personal issues for people also having to sign up for that many years, it's different for people that probably live near where they film. If people live near where they film, they're working, in close proximity to their home, so it probably wouldn't be so bad. But specifically with people that are coming to the U.S. from other countries, like Andrew Lincoln, coming from the U.K. to the U.S. every season for so long each year, it sounded like it was having a detrimental impact on his personal life, maybe on his marriage, his relationship, whatever. Don't know about that part. That part's private. He seems to be a pretty private person. He's never really gotten into any of that, which is absolutely no problem. But I just got the sense from all the interviews over the years that Scott Gimple said that was happening either way. If they didn't write Rick out and have him go in the helicopter and go to the movies, they would have had to kill him or end the series. They would not have had a choice. He had made the decision, and I think contractually that was, contractually his initial contract was up. They signed kind of an extension or a new contract for him to do season 9, I think, and was it 8 or 9 or just 9? I think it was just 9 actually, which was only like 5 episodes, and then that was it. So my impression of that basically was that was happening either way. From what Scott Gimple said, there was nothing you could do about it. So it isn't about creative in terms of storylines or audiences or anything like that. It was that your Rick is leaving one way or another, like it or not. He's going. So now you have to decide, how are you going to handle that? What are you going to do about it? Are you going to end the series at season 9, or are you going to keep it going and have him, leave or kill him off, or what are you going to do? The decision they opted for was to kind of elevate him into the movies, so that and kind of appease Andrew Lincoln in that way, so that he could probably come back and film the movies when at his leisure, when it works for him, and he wouldn't have to always be there every year for so many weeks of the year and just leave his family and do all that stuff. So that's what was going on with that. That was going to happen either way. There was nothing they could absolutely nothing they could do about that. That was affecting his personal life too much, and so they had to do that. They had that was a non-starter. There was nothing they could do as far as that goes. So the series, as far as like the other characters and whatnot, and Daryl and everything, well, the comics, the comics are wrapping up, so that's part of this as well too. That's probably the biggest driving force, is that the comics are wrapping up at around that time. So to me, it sounds more like they decided to end it kind of in name, also because the season counts are getting really high. So maybe they figured there'd be more buzz if we did a Carol Daryl series, and also it can accommodate the actors and the people involved better, because then they might not have to sign up for every single one if they don't want to. And they can shoot a different schedule. It doesn't have to be 16 episodes every year. They could do like maybe a Daryl Carroll spinoff could do like 6 episodes a year or something, or they can kind of negotiate that and decide how many episodes they want to do. It's not the original series, so the runtime can be different. And so they have different options they can do if they split it off into other series. And ultimately, that's what happened with Walking Dead. So I'm glad that's what happened. They could have handled it the HBO way, which was to capsize it and just close it off. And if they'd have done that, then they would have just ended the series kind of early or prematurely, because Andrew Lincoln was leaving and whatever else. The doom and gloom could have gotten to them. But I think they did a good job of responding to that as best as they could, and understanding that not everybody can sign up for these 16 episodes a year, or however many they're in out of that 10 or 12 or whatever. And then when they're not, their fans kind of complain or whatever. So because they want to see Rick in almost every episode, or they want to see Daryl all the time, that kind of thing. So that's what they went for. And could it have lasted longer any other way? I don't think so. I think they pretty much kept it going about as long as they possibly could have with the characters that they have. They did a pretty good job of building new characters and adding characters on. Maybe they killed off a few too many, but if you don't do that, then you can't keep your fans, your fan base engaged in it, because then those that are being, there's not enough character deaths to where it feels like there's that sense of what The Walking Dead probably should be based on the comics. So I think they did about as best as they can do. And they probably could have done a season 12 and season 13 and 14 if they want to. It almost feels like to me by setting an endpoint, it makes more hype around those last couple seasons and those episodes. More people are going to watch them than if it's just indefinitely going to run. And also, you can do the spinoffs and you can do these other things, which can get new hype about them too, because it's something different, it's something new, and maybe they felt like The Walking Dead was becoming too mundane, or at least in terms of a trade-off, it was more mundane with the episode run numbers and the season numbers than it would be if you shaked it up. So I think that that's what a lot of this has to do with, is them kind of shaking it up, while also acknowledging that everybody involved is getting older. So all the cast and crew, they might not always want to, come back every season or whatever. So with this way of doing it, you can do the movies, you can do the other spinoff series, Anthology, and the Carol Daryl spinoff, which, who knows, that might just end up being like 16 episodes. And that might end up just being Walking Dead, just under a different name. Like they might just be rebranding it, sort of. So we'll see. But, maybe that's not what they're doing. Maybe they'll do less episodes or something. But, I think it's just a natural thing that was going to happen anyway. COVID also kicked everyone's ass. So once COVID happened, I'm sure AMC hurt from that too. And that's just what it was. Thank you for your super chat, Robert Frank. So Robert Frank 615 said, do you think it was a dumb move to announce a spinoff series with Daryl and Carol? This pretty much guarantees that they survive. I'd rather not know, but that's just me. That's true that if you didn't announce it, then you basically would have more uncertainty around them. So you wouldn't know. By doing a Daryl Carol spinoff, you're guaranteeing basically that they survive, unless you're lying, which they don't do that often. Sometimes, maybe once in a while, but they don't deliberately lie all that much based on the history. So basically with that one, maybe it was a little bit dumb to telegraph that Carol and Daryl are going to be alive. You're right. I understand what you're saying, because then there isn't that question of, are they going to survive or are they not? But I think maybe they figured, well, everyone knows that you're going to have Carol and Daryl live, obviously. Maybe they felt like it was so obvious that by announcing it, it would kind of settle your fan base, or it would be to where you're kind of giving them an answer for the ending, when probably they were more worried that everyone would be so sad and whatever to hear that the series is ending, that they would find comfort and they wouldn't get turned off, and find comfort in that you're announcing that there's going to be something afterwards. Maybe they could have said, we've got some really good spinoffs that are going to start the very next year. They could have been more kind of open about it, like not saying specifically it's going to be a Daryl Carol spinoff. Maybe they should have played Gimple there a little bit more and said, like, we've got all these different spinoffs. We're going to do a spinoff the very next year. We're starting something spinoff, but we won't tell you what it is, because then we're going to spoil it for you. So then there'd be the anticipation there. So maybe they shouldn't have been so specific to say it's going to be a Daryl Carol spinoff. You're probably right about that. But maybe they felt like it was something that they wanted to do for the fan base, because they were worried that the fan base would rage quit if they didn't give that to them. And that's probably why they did it. Yeah, sorry if it's laggy here, guys. We'll have to see how it goes with the live streams. My connection's not always the best. So if it drops or something, we'll see. But hopefully we can stay up for at least a little while. We can do at least maybe an hour or two here. But it's kind of a sad topic to go into right after this news this week. It was somewhat surprising to me. Like I kind of knew as we kind of knew that maybe maybe it had kind of run its course, or the comics were going to be ending up soon. So, and that COVID would also have a negative impact on it. So we kind of figured that maybe that would happen. But it is unfortunate to get that actual news that, it's definitely ending, and here's when it's ending. So yeah, that's pretty sad, man. So yeah, absolutely. So let's see what we got from you guys so far. And thank you guys for joining. Looks like we got about 120 people, so that's really cool. And we'll do a little bit longer. So feel free to send me all the questions you guys have here, and I'll pick and choose maybe some of the best ones, or obviously super chats get priority. So thank you, Rob, for that question and everything, and hope all is well with you. And thank you earlier, Kidman, for yours. Let's see what we got from you guys. So time for a reboot. Well, the idea of a Walking Dead reboot, maybe I should do a whole video just on that, like the concept of doing an actual Walking Dead reboot. I don't know, man. Would you guys want to see them reboot the whole series and start over? Like, would you want to see them go back to the very beginning and do an entire reboot of the whole series? I don't think so, because they still have the original footage of those seasons. They can still play them. They can still have them, they can do the marathons, and you can watch those episodes if you want to. They're in good quality. It's not like they're so old that their quality is terrible. Their quality is still decent, at least, or good for like a zombie apocalypse type of thing. So would you want to see them kind of reboot over again with Rick and the others? I don't think so. I kind of feel like that's probably not a good not a good idea to do a full on reboot, like recast all the different people involved and do it differently or something. Maybe at some point you could do that. Like you could do one where maybe you do a reboot and then Shane kills Rick or something like that instead. You could do something like that if you want to, but not right now. I feel like that would be down the road, like 5 or 10 years from now. All right, let me mute for just a sec, guys. I'll be right back. Just hang tight with me, and I'll be back in just a minute. I'm going to mute for a sec. Okay. Okay, I am back. Thanks for your patience, guys. Just had to take a minute. Yeah, those neighbors to shut the fuck out. Yeah, can you guys hear them? It's cool, man. They told me beforehand they were gonna have like a party today, so I was like, that's cool, whatever. It's cool. So sorry if there's background noise, guys. It's like the first new week of school or whatever, so a lot of students move in and stuff. But I think the university here is actually shut down right now. They're doing everything online, so I don't know exactly why they're they're here. Really, you could probably be at home, but you guys know how it is, right? You're at that age, you just want to party and stuff, so that's cool. Yeah, you got it, Rob. That's right, though. But yeah, man. So how are you guys doing, right? So we asked the question about rebooting. I say no, not right now. Maybe later. You could do a reboot later on, but not right now. So I did record down. So there is a site that has a list of reasons. So Gigadeath asked, Trev, have you thought about doing your own comic? Yeah, I did. I tried to, Gigadeath. But the thing is with my schedule, man, doing a comic actually takes a lot of time. It's a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It's not a quick thing to do. I have a couple artists that do some comic stuff for me. They did like the Tregan shirt, which Rob's got one of them. So thank you, Rob, for that. I hope you like it. So they do some art for me, stuff like that. So I wanted to do a comic. I was going to do either Trev of the Dead, or I was going to do, I had some other names for it. But I ultimately decided that it would have been too much work based on my schedule for me to do. So I made videos instead. So I continued with the channel instead. I would have had to take like probably a couple months off from doing the channel. And I don't think you guys would want that, just for like an issue or two. So yeah, he's got two. So yeah, you're awesome, Rob, man. I appreciate all your support, man. But yeah, no reboot. And maybe one day I could do a zombie comic. That would be really cool. I would always love to do that. That's sort of a bucket list item for me. One day I would love to do that. But yeah, it wouldn't be like a comedy, probably. It'd be more serious, but that's the way I would like to do it. But yeah, I don't think so. BS 431-980 said, Trev, who would win in a death battle between Bill Gates and Dr. Fauci? Yeah, who would win between the two of them? I'd pay to see Fauci and Gates fight it out, right? I'd love to see that. I don't know if Revenge of the Nerds, maybe Bill Gates would cheat and he'd beat him. I view Bill Gates as like a cheater. Anyway, let's let's get back to it. It literally says, "Imagine believing in Paul is dead." So I don't really do Paul is dead stuff anymore. That's deliberate. I stopped doing videos on that. I had to remove all my stuff on that. So that's cool, but I don't get into that anymore. I'm not getting into that anymore. I'm not going to get involved in that stuff. So I'm staying totally out of that. So let's get back to Walking Dead. So reasons for it ending. So there was a site that had kind of a list of them. Let's see, which site was it? Maybe I forgot to write it down, but it says, so for those that have been following The Walking Dead for over the last decade, this week announcement from AMC that they would be pulling the plug on the series after 11 seasons came as a shock to most of us. We have been hearing for years that there was no end in sight for The Walking Dead. This is actually good because I kind of forgot about this. They'd said that it could run 12 years, 15 years, or 20 years, 6 months into the pandemic. However, AMC pulled the plug on its flagship series. It may have come as a surprise, but it shouldn't have, and it probably didn't have much to do with the pandemic. Well, okay, this is what the site said. I actually kind of disagree with that. I think that if this whole COVID thing didn't happen, we would already be ready for season 11. We would be going into season 11 right now, right? Like in October, we'd be going into it. And then you get season 12, and then maybe a 13 after that or so, something like that. But because of the pandemic, I think it at least shed 1 year off of it, and it made them and everybody else reconsider. Also, because I think that this year, people actually, for a change, had to worry about their actual physical health and well-being. You know, it's not a war type scenario, but it's sort of like psychologically you have some of the similarities or the same way that people feel when there's a war as they feel when there's, a global plague. Or supposedly there is, right? So I think that the COVID situation did have a huge impact on Walking Dead's longevity. I do think it did. I think that if that didn't happen, we probably would get a season 13. But because that happened, they decided to go this route. And who knows, maybe the Daryl Carroll spinoff could be 10 episodes a season or more, and maybe it could last a few years, and maybe it could be really good. So we'll see about that. But anyway, they go into their reasons, what they have here. And that is true that I forgot that they had said it could run for 20 years or 12 years or 15 years. Maybe they thought it among the other spinoffs, like including all the spinoffs and different series like that, which is probably true. If you count Fear in there anyway, you're in the high teens of seasons if you count those as one season of Walking Dead each year, which it kind of is, just with different group, different survivors, and without the Kirkman comics. So it says, so why did AMC decide to end the series? There are a number of reasons that probably factored in. Number one, Robert Kirkman's source material has ended or dried up. That was unexpected too, right? We didn't expect to see the Walking Dead comic book series end like that before issue 200. We thought it was set that issue 200 was happening, and he had even said like he could do issue 300 or something like that. So he had even said that they were going to go way past that. But it sounds like from deep diving that in the background, Charlie Adler, the artist, couldn't keep committing to do that much. And that's true, right? All this stuff they create for us, guys, it is a lot of work for them. And a lot of them, because of the success of the series, have become very successful. A lot of these people, whether it's actors, cast, crew, directors, people involved behind the scenes, or with the comics, Charlie Adler, the artist, Robert Kirkman, they don't need to do this stuff anymore. They can retire. So for them, it's just how long do you want to do it for? Do you want to keep doing it? If it's that much work, then a lot of them are deciding that no, we're not gonna keep doing it. So the comics ending did have a huge impact here. I got to admit that. It can't be a coincidence that the TV series is ending around the same time as the comics wrapped up for the original run series. So that is the biggest factor, I think. Yeah, COVID is another one. Obviously, it hurt everybody and made people reconsider what's really important. And for them, maybe they decided maybe I don't work as much or so much, because I want to spend time with my family too, and this whole thing. You guys know where I'm going with that. So the second is to build hype for the Rick Grimes movies. Well, I think it also builds hype for the end of the series too. I think it builds hype for people to want to go back and watch and be guaranteed. Maybe they were worried after COVID. They weren't sure how many people were going to want to watch, as I kind of was, and I was mentioning in that video last month about would COVID kill The Walking Dead. Maybe by setting an endpoint, they're guaranteeing that as many people as possible watch. And I have to admit that that's true. By setting an ending point, you are guaranteeing that everybody who's interested is going to watch. Now, people who, if it's still low, then that just means it would have been even lower if you didn't decide on an endpoint. Because you have an endpoint, it does hype up the end of the series, and it does build hype for the movies because you don't have the original series anymore. So you're doing the movies, so people, if they want to see the original Walking Dead, then you kind of have to go there. Even though Fear has some of the original Walking Dead characters, like it has the original Fear crew that's still alive, and then it has Morgan and it has Dwight. So it has some. But the Rick movie, I would expect, would have probably more than that. Probably Michonne, Rick, Jadis, and then maybe Heath, and then other new characters. And then, eventually you might see Carol, Daryl reunited with Rick at some point in time. At some point. Maybe they got something really cool set in the, for the ending with maybe Andrew Lincoln would come back for an episode or something. I don't know. We'll have to see if they do that. That'd be so cool if they were able to work that out, man. That would be amazing. 3, cast members keep leaving. Yeah, over the years, that one I have to agree with them on. Cast members do keep leaving, and there's nothing you can do about it. And then 4, it says it's mostly about the money, which I don't think that's true. I don't think it's mostly about the money, and that's the reason why they're ending it. But it does have a big budget for the series. It is difficult for them to do. So there's some. I mean, they have to always monitor interest in the series, and it's a business too. They all want to have jobs, so you have to factor in business to a degree. But it's I wouldn't say that it's a cash grab to end it or anything like that. No, I don't think that's true. Yeah. So Adam Reyna said there's no way Fear the Walking Dead will go past season 7. Yeah, it's not a bad prediction, Adam. You might be right. Season 7 could be the end for Fear as well. But the article that was released from We Got This Covered last year that said that about season 12 would be the end of the Walking Dead series turned out to pretty much be true. So with that being true, that article also said that Fear and the other spinoffs would continue on after. So if that's true, that would mean Fear would get a season 8. But it's all dependent on who watches it, how many people are interested. So let's see how Fear does during this primetime slot in the fall time here, and see how many people are interested in it. And if a lot of people are interested in it, then it could mean that AMC will continue with it further. I mean, imagine 3 million people watch it, the same as Walking Dead. Well, then they're going to continue it further. It's pretty much guaranteed. But if they don't, if it only gets 1 million or less, then, and it depends also on Premiere signups. If hardly anybody signs up for Premiere to watch it early, then they'll probably reconsider. But, we'll see. There's also the ability for them to take these series and sell them to Hulu or the streaming services, the Amazons, the Netflixes. They can shop around and they can get a good deal for it because different ones are going to want to buy it. IMDb, I heard, is recently streaming older episodes of Walking Dead. So you have these options, and AMC can sell it to the others. So as long as they're minding their business there and getting a few different quotes on it from the different streaming services, they can shop it around well and sell off Fear or Walking Dead or whatever for a good profit. So, and there's nothing, people act like that's evil, that's wrong or whatever. No, that's just business. If you get something done in your house or something like what I do, I always get 2 or 3 estimates from different people. And sometimes they're all basically the same, but sometimes you find out that one was trying to rip you off, or you find out you get a good deal for it. You get market price for it. So we'll see how COVID affects all of that. But don't be too surprised if Fear gets a season 8 or 9, guys, because if they sell it to Hulu for a price and it doesn't cost that much for them to do it, maybe they just keep doing it. If something's working, you just keep doing it. You don't, in business, you don't stop doing it because, oh, well, creatively, whatever. No, you're going to keep doing it. So, there's a lot of background, these meetings that people get into when they decide to end The Walking Dead. You're talking about probably at least 6 people, maybe a dozen or a couple dozen people deciding this, all putting their input in, them spending probably weeks or months or days to decide if they're going to do this, and this is what they decided to do. So don't be too surprised if some of the other series last longer, because remember, they can sell it to the streaming services after, and then they can sell the Blu-rays, they can sell the DVDs, they can sell the products related to it, they can sell Premiere. So it's you're going to want to have something there. Otherwise, you're capsizing everything. Then you're basically shutting down your whole business pretty much, and then you're screwed at that point. So you have to have something to sell. So you have to have some content, right, for these guys. So if it's not the original Walking Dead series, then something else. Maybe they just felt like the Walking Dead original series was getting too old, so they wanted to end it. and then do something different and shop that around for better value or something. Because season 12 and 13 just sounds like it's old, right? The comics do this all the time. If you guys think about Marvel Comics or DC Comics, how often do they relaunch number ones of Spider-Man, X-Men, Superman, Batman? They do it all the time. There's a few series like Batman, I think, is one that it got into the hundreds of issue runs, or Detective Comics like has hundreds of issue runs, the number. But all the Marvel stuff, they relaunch all the time. They start at number one again, number one again, number one again. They do it all the time. And then people are like, oh, first issue, it's a new issue, I'm going to go buy it, right? They do it all the time. It's a tactic, right? So it works. That goes sent through a super chat. Thank you, That Goes, who said, COVID is going nowhere. People are too selfish and money hungry to follow safety rules. It's still about making money. Also, nice nips, bro. Joking. Yeah. So, okay. Well, thanks for the nip compliment. As far as COVID going nowhere, yeah, it's not going anywhere, That Ghost. And so, did you guys? Okay, I won't go too much into this, but he did send through a super chat for this. Did you guys see online hydroxychloroquine apparently works, or apparently it's to a degree? A lot of studies have shown that it does work, and even Trump was taking hydroxychloroquine. So apparently it works. Now, here's a good question: why won't the UN and Fauci and Gates allow everyone to take it then? Because it would save lives if it works, right? They always bash it down and act like it doesn't work, even though it sounds like it probably does. From everybody else. Everyone else, it sounds like when they look into it, they see that it's got beneficial value. That and zinc, I think they were saying, right? That it actually does work, and doctors are actually giving this. So this is not just me saying this. It sounds like it actually does work. So why won't they let everyone take it then? And I've stood by this for months now, and I said the same thing. It's because it's not the vaxes. And the whole point, like I've said, of COVID is the vaxes. That's the whole point. So because Bill Gates is he's a eugenicist. He ain't just some chump. He ain't just some Microsoft guy. He's a eugenicist. His dad was in Planned Parenthood. So his family has been into eugenics. It's not just him. His background is in eugenics. So it's almost like this was his true purpose. Microsoft and all that stuff was just like he was basically a forefront person for those companies, which were probably cult owned or owned by the pyramid anyway, or at least partially. But yeah, man, he's a hardcore eugenicist. So even if you found a solution to it, it won't be allowed to ride. They're going to want it to stay until they offer you the solution that they want you to have. And when I say they, I'm talking World Health Organization, United Nations, the elites government, the unelected elites government. So let's get back to Walking Dead because I don't want to lose people to get mad. Hey, Dwayne Boy's here. How you doing, man? Trev, do you watch Cobra Kai? Says Israel. I don't watch Cobra Kai, but I love Karate Kid, so I should check it out. And I love the '80s, so I should check it out, man. Yeah, MK Psyop says that Russia already has a vaccine. Yeah, they might already have one, and it might work too. But that's not what this is. This is not a regular deal. This is anyway. Let's try. I have to get into it too much. You guys know my stance on this, and I think as time proceeds on further, you will see that I'm right about this, and that is that this is not a natural deal. If it was, they would snap up the first one and they would find the solution. They would go for it from there. That's not what this is. That will not be allowed to happen, according to the World Health Organization. So we'll see what happens with Russia. I don't think they care too much about what they do internally, but if they start selling it to other places, like if Trump wanted to buy it from Russia and buy a whole bunch, then they might come in and be like, well, what are you doing? So we'll see what happens. But yeah, it can be, Max. It's true, man. These are tough questions. These are big, tough questions about population management, population control. These are really tough questions for people to have to answer. For us, it's basically our elites that are answering them. Our ruling class, our elites are deciding what happens with these. With regards to global management, they're the ones that set up all these global entities, World Health Organizations. You look at Rockefeller, Gates, these different families, and all the different things they set up. All you got to do is trace them back and take a look through them, and you'll see that the global governing structure is elite created. It is elite managed. It is basically the elites, the ruling class, deciding what's going to happen with the fate of the world. So for us as regular people, citizens, the best thing we can hope for is that those elites are going to do right by us and do right by everybody, and choose the least harm path or the least harm method. Will they? Will they not? We'll have to see. Okay, so Zim says CRM is Civic Republic Military. Yeah, it's all customer relationship management too, which is layered. So it's layered, right? Gimple's layered it, right, on purpose. Customer relationship management, CRM. So they're managing their relationship with us too through the CRM. That's what it's used for. It's kind of brilliant when you think about it. But Gimble's like that. He's probably a Mason or something. I don't know. Okay, so elites worship L. Yeah, Saturn. Yeah, and Lucifer. You can also say it as. Yeah, that's right. Some of them anyway. Maybe not all of them, but a huge group of them are Luciferian. Yeah, they are. So it's just what it is. Thank you, that ghost who said, I live in Florida. He sent through another super chat. No trolling, but racial tensions are so high right now. I believe a race war, at least a poor versus rich, a class war, is around the corner in a year. Also, I always tip and enjoy you for your so thank you, that ghost. I appreciate the tips, man. And you're right, man. Be careful, that ghost. Maybe stock up if you can. Just prepare. Just try to be as prepared as you can. Try not to get involved in any of the craziness if it goes crazy outside. Try to stay out of it. And this is one thing I played with for a while, because as men, we can become defensive over our stuff and our territory. So let's say someone smashes your stuff or something like that, And but with the Rittenhouse situation, that what I've seen is that, stuff is stuff. And I hate to say this, but you don't want to get caught up in this legal stuff, or you do something, you defend your stuff, and then you end up in court for years and years and years, or whatever. You end up in jail or whatever. Try to stay out of it. If your stuff gets wrecked, maybe move your important stuff into secure storage or something, or someplace where it'll be safe or something. If other stuff gets destroyed when this craziness is going on outside, it might be best not to get involved at all. I know going outside with the guns is one idea or one way to go, and maybe if you own a business or something and it's your livelihood, you have to do that. So sometimes you have to, but you don't want to get in one situation where you actually have to use the gun, then you do, and then you end up in jail for 5 years or 20 years or something. It's probably not worth it. So that's the only thing I would say to any of you guys out there. If you're in one of these areas, if this election goes wrong, and if it splits the country, if it splits the U.S. into a civil war, which it might do, it's very close. Basically, you have the Trump administration is kind of breaking off, and then you have the Democrats are actually just pretty much a global or an internationalist elite government, which we've had before for many years. We had it with Bush, we had it with Obama, we had it with Clinton. Oh God, did we ever had it with Clinton going to Epstein's Island 27 times? So you guys have had several terms, and even back further than that, right, too, with Bush. And you can look at some of the past ones too. But you guys have had, at least before Trump, at least probably the last 3 or 4, it'd be Bush, at least 4 administrations before that, completely and totally corrupt internationally. So these regimes you guys had were actually serving the elites and the internationalists. They were not serving the people. Trump is one of the only ones with his administration that's trying to serve the people. And don't the elites not let him forget about it, because they also own CNN. They own a lot of the media companies. Not all of them. You have some programs like Tucker Carlson, for example, where he can go into what's actually happening here, and he can actually break this down side by side, because it is a side by side. The people say, well, we're on this together, we got to get along. They're not in this together. You do have a separation here. You have the elites going into business for themselves internationally. They are not on the side of the people. They want what they want. They have their wants, and they're in the background. They're hidden. They're filtered through with puppet mastery. Their agents, which would be Biden and Harris, would be 2 of the big ones, and among many others, the intelligence agencies and whatnot. The elites have backdoors into all the intelligence agencies, and so they have the ability to manage from the shadows through the intelligence agencies. So because of that, it is a situation that could get really, really ugly really fast because you have a power struggle between that section and that section. Now, where the division of class and race come in is in the protocols. It says that they'll do that. They'll switch them on each other. And how they're going to do that is the media. If they did not have the media, if they didn't have their Masons on it, they would not be able to perplex and mind control the people into fighting with each other. So try to remember, and you can't convince people that are under mind control. It's very difficult. It's sort of like a movie. Think of it like a movie, like you have certain people that are under mind control. It's very difficult to spell break them out of it. Basically, a spell has been cast on them, and it's very difficult to knock it out of them. It's very difficult to stop them from doing that. So stay safe, man. Do your thing, and we'll see what happens if Biden and his administration gets in. It might be less trouble after they do so, because then the elites get what they want, and it just means less freedoms for us and more security, more things that they want, more Gates control, more Rockefeller influence, more control for them, more of what they want. So it'll be the least path of resistance to them taking the world where they want it to go. What's standing in their way is Trump administration and the people that are wise to it in the administrations. So and the intelligence agencies are kind of mixed. You have some. Mostly, though, the intelligence agencies are on the pyramid side. The media, mostly on the pyramid side. So because of that, they can really turn the people against each other very easily using the media. And just think about it. And the proof is it's self-evidently true. If you shut off all the news companies, would you have any of those situations happening? No, you wouldn't, right? So what are they doing? They're adding fuel to the fire. The news companies are they're adding fuel to it on behalf of, that's why you have David Rockefeller, where he's coming out before when he was alive, and he was thanking all the directors for the different news companies for their compliance. Yeah, he's thanking them because they're doing what the elites told them to do. So we'll see what happens in the States, but stay safe, all you guys that live there, and keep your wits about you, and don't get involved in it as best as you can. We don't know exactly what they're going to do next, so we'll have to see what happens next, man. Maiden Wool, thank you for the super chat, but you retracted your message. What did you say? You can send it through again if you want. It doesn't have to be in a super chat. Just send it through. She said, "Oh shit." So you can send it through. It's okay. Don't worry. Send it through. Maybe do it in code, and I'll try to decrypt it. I'm really good at reading code, and that's a lot of the way this stuff works is in code. This week I was watching on InfoWars. Dr. Steve Pachenik was on with Alex, and Band.video has it. It was one of the best interviews I've ever seen. So this is who this guy was for you guys. September 11th just passed, right? He was in the White House when all of that shit was going down. And he knew it was going to happen ahead of time, because what happened was, he says that, this is his testimony, that when he was going around, he noticed that almost everybody in the key positions were CIA. In the White House, in the administration. So the administration under Bush and the neocons became CIA. The CIA took in the administration. And because they did that, he knew some shit was up. Something was going to happen. And he was right. Obviously, it did with September 11, 2001. So if you guys don't know, Bush is skull and bones. He's Yale. And Steve goes into this as well, that he's from Yale. So Bush is skull and bones. And he doesn't deny it. When people ask him in interviews, so you're part of the secret society, you're part of this, whatever, they ask him, what is it for? What does it do? And then Bush says, well, it's a secret. Doesn't tell you. So you guys had a president that was skull and bones. And, I'm not blaming anybody for it, but Steve calls it chicken pox. He says that everybody got chicken pox. And chicken pox is a really good code word for that. It just means that they're cowards. He calls them, I love what he calls them cowards. He's like, they're cowards. They're morons. And Bush is a moron. His dad was a coward. I love it. Anyway, watch it on Band.video if you want to see it. Dr. Steve Pachenik with Alex Jones. Great stuff. Awesome testimony. And it explains everything that happened. It was all compromised. The entire government was compromised. Everybody was compromised. The CIA completely compromised. And it was set up so long ahead of time. In The Matrix, if you guys don't know this, in the movie The Matrix, which was released in the 90s, Neo's expiry date is September 11, 2001. And in, I think it's 2001: A Space Odyssey. There's a line where I think it's the obelisk where it says 2001: A Space Odyssey, and he says a Bush baby, right? 2001, a Bush baby, right? Bush Jr. So, and then Bush, he did say in a couple of speeches, he says, "Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, and I'm the fool." And then he does this thing, right? There's also another interview where he says, where he's with Barbara, and he says that at first I thought it was a conspiracy, and then she looks at him like this. You can watch it on YouTube. She looks at him, her eyes are like this. What the fuck did you just say? She fucked up. He didn't screw up. He can do that because he can play with the audience. She screwed up because she looked at him with eyes like this. Like, don't fucking say that. That was bad. She made the mistake there, not him, because he plays with the audience, right? So Masons do that all the time. Anyway, Bush's skull and bones. The whole government was compromised, and then obviously the towers were blown to smithereens with the planes as well. The planes were flown in, and then they were blown. And so was Building 7. Building 7 was cut out and blown in. So anyway, quick thoughts there on that stuff. Watch it. Watch it if you want to see testimony from a man that was in the White House when the CIA was taking it over. Well, the CIA and Skull and Bones, and among others too. There's probably Masons all around in there too. Absolutely, yeah. So, so crazy stuff, man. I love that one though. It's on band.video. You can watch it. Steve Pachenik, awesome stuff, man. Really, really good stuff. Amazing testimony. So it changes your way. But he was also on the CFR too, the Council on Foreign Relations, which was, I believe, a David Rockefeller deal too when he was alive. And he quit the council. So I think Steve Pachenik has got some, that guy's a real man. He's got some man balls to quit the CFR and call them out, because I guess he was the first person they went to find out what happened on 9/11. And he said there's no question it was an inside deal is what happened. No question in his mind. So it's cool. Yeah, Trump did say after, because Trump knows the guy who built the towers, right? He knows him because he's built other stuff, or I think he's built other stuff for Trump because he's got Trump Tower and stuff like that. He knows the guy who built them. And he said in interviews right after it happened that he didn't know how they took them down, because he's like, those planes are not going to knock those down. He knows the guy who built it. The guy who built them was like, no effing way that are they going to. Those steel columns were, it was like, oh my God, it was like, there's no way. So he was wondering how they took them down. Well, explosives, that's how. But anyway, he doesn't talk about it anymore because, Trump doesn't talk about it anymore because he knows that it was a deal. So he doesn't go into it. He just doesn't talk about it at all because he knows. So, Torrid. Yeah, I know you guys don't like it, man. Well, anyway, watch the band.video interview with Dr. Steve Pachenik. If you want to know, that's up to you, right? Because what I found out this year is that a lot of people, they do not want to know this stuff. They know that Bush is skull and bones. They know how that works. They understand that, but they think it's just a silly thing, right? They don't actually think about it. You see, you can't serve your secret society in the pyramid and then also serve the people at the same time. You got to choose a side. So you have to choose. So they call them chicken pox because those in the chicken pox, they go with the pyramid. They go with skull and bones over the people. So they're compromised. Right, exactly. So that's the way it works. So I understand you guys don't like it. Like Torrid, you might not know any of this stuff, and you might not want to, or you might want to buy into the official narrative, which is cool, because the thing about the official narrative is it makes you feel a lot better, right? This stuff is dark. When you want to know the truth about what's going on, you do have people that are compromised. You do have people that are against the country that they're elected into. So it is very, very dark. It's not feel good stuff all the time. It's not the nice story that you've been told by the media, who answers to the elites. That's not how it works. So my opinion is that basically all of the United Nations is compromised. The intelligence agencies are mostly compromised to a degree in favor of the elites and the internationalists. And that's where we are. But if we don't face it and we get chicken pox, or we just stay in the dark on it, we don't fess up to it and embrace what's happening, we cannot do anything about it. If we can't look it in the face and say that we know you did this, we know what you did, and you know what you did, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times, I don't think so. You know what you did, we know what you did, and do something about it. But it's so dark. So this is what happens. And don't get mad at me, Tori. I know you've been watching videos for 5 or 10 years. Don't get mad at me, okay? What I'm doing here is I'm trying to show you why this stuff is so automatically protected back and why it goes through the other way. It goes through the other way. So the question would be, if they were all CIA and the CIA was compromised for the internationalists, the elites, and if they set this up ahead of time and they went for it, which they did, and Steve Pachenik is right, and what he said was correct. He told Rumsfeld that he knows what he did, and that basically he wouldn't stand for it. It sounds like to me. He's just lucky to be alive right now. He's a hero for sure for telling the truth. Because the problem is, this is the thing: society in the world has become so contorted that when someone stands up and says the truth, it's so contorted that people are like, no, that can't be true. It can't be, right? It can't be. There couldn't have been explosives in the buildings, when obviously there was. Look at Building 7. Building 7 did not get hit by a plane. It had fires, whatever, and it collapsed into its own footprint. And see, so the people in the inside, they know, everybody who was there basically knows what happens or what happened. So how did they get away with it? How did it go to where they didn't get them for it? How did they get away with doing this? It's because of the nice narrative. It's because people want to believe that nice narrative. And it's too dark to fess up to the truth. The truth is not always nice. The truth sometimes can be really brutal. It means you were betrayed. It means that you were stabbed in the back. It means you were skull and bones. That's what it means. So what did you expect? You put a guy into the top position in your country who's a bonesman. He's probably killed people before. I mean, I think they have to, just to even get up into skull and bones, to get up into the ranks. They have to prove their loyalty. So they have to probably, who knows what they have to do. It's all kept on a lock. But usually, like high-ranking Masons and whatnot, they have to prove it. So they have to either probably kill somebody or do the blood rituals, whatever, be of a family bloodline, which of course he was. And one of the leading ideas online is that Barbara Bush is Crowley's daughter. And I don't know if that's true or not, or part, like maybe not of a marriage, but maybe like one of these. He was doing this sex magic and stuff. So Crowley might have a bunch of kids everywhere. I don't know. But if that's true, then that would make sense, because you have this little group at the top of the world doing all this crazy shit. But yeah, NORAD stood down during that, man. So see, Steve knows it was inside because it had to have been. There's no other way about it. You couldn't have done it any other way. We were talking about 9/11 real quick. I don't want to get into too much. But the problem is, yeah, he's guilty. Bush is so guilty. He's proud guilty. He doesn't even try to hide it. He doesn't give a shit. He's just, like you say, I thought it was a conspiracy. It's like, Barbara's like, don't fucking say that. What the fuck are you doing? What are you doing? It's like, oh no, he's fucking with everybody. He knows everybody will just go along with it, right? He knows because, and it's not intelligence necessarily why they believe him. It's because people want to believe a nice story. They don't want to believe there were bombs in the towers, because if there were bombs in the towers, who put them there? CIA did, and Mossad. Mossad was involved too. All of the intelligence agencies pretty much work together to serve the elites. Mossad, the ones in the UK, MI5, MI6, whatever. I don't know. I can't keep track of all of them. NSA, CIA, so that's what it is. It's our Gestapo. They took it, in my opinion, they took it from Hitler and Germany. Hitler and Germany had these different police forces. They didn't just have one police force. They had like the SS, the SA, the Gestapo. And then I think the police was kind of hit or miss, back and forth at sometimes. Was kind of a presence, sometimes not. Sometimes it was like anarchy to rile things up. I think they took, the CIA is an idea I think they took from Hitler with his Gestapo, and the elites wanted to have their Gestapo in the States. And they also set it up in all the other countries too. So they have intelligence agencies too. Anyway, let's get back to Walking Dead, right? So there you go. The children, the children thing. Yeah, there's more people. It's starting to come out of the woodwork now. So, but the thing we need this is what we need, guys. We need people to stop being afraid of the truth. Stop being afraid of what's happening. Stop turning on Anderson Cooper, who's CIA 2 trained, and believing this guy. This guy is a trained liar. He's a trained killer. He is a nasty MFer. He might seem nice in the service and all that stuff, but he is a pyramid boy. He is chickenpox all the way. So that's the problem, is that, so there are a lot of versions of the truth. Well, there are, Torrid, but the version that you shouldn't be listening to is the mainstream version, because that one is propaganda. That one is put in place to manipulate and control you and contort society even further, which they have done, and they're doing even more. So yeah, I want to reload, but I'm going through your guys' questions anyway. Yeah, protect the children. I agree, absolutely. So yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what you do when they start taking down more and more of these rings and whatnot, and we'll see how you respond. I'm going to ask you, Torrid, in a year or two, if Trump gets back in and he starts cleaning house and arresting people left, right, and center. Let's see what you say at that point if he does it. So let's see. He kind of has to do it, because if he doesn't, if it goes the other way, then they're going to do it. He needs to put down the iron fist in the right way. He has to put that down and take these people out. Otherwise, it's going to go the other way, and they're going to take him out. You can't show weakness with these people, or they'll do whatever. They'll take you to task, right? So, okay. So anyway, what else we got here? Okay. Yeah, MI6 and the Saudis. Yeah, Boogeyman. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you want to be specific. I don't disagree with that at all. Yeah. You wouldn't have noticed maybe the guy trying to find a cure at the CRM has found out. Oh, yeah, there was an article I saw about the CRM maybe having some kind of cure or something like that, or working on a cure or something like that. Well, Andrew Lincoln always liked the idea of him being the cure. So maybe they'll use that in a movie or something for that. I do hope Robert Kirkman gets involved with the writing process a bit for the future of Walking Dead. I think it's sad that the comics are over, but I think it's even more sad that he hasn't been involved as much, it sounds like, with the movies and stuff. But I think he did say that he was working on the movie with Gimple. So I just like to see him get a little bit more involved with the TV series universe now that the comics are over, because that is, the reason why the comics sold so much. Well, Camp, I buy a lot of books too. I bought a new book. The Open Conspiracy. I'm reading right now, H.G. Wells. So it's pretty good. I'm also looking into Aldous Huxley's stuff, because I want to do a breakdown. Aldous Huxley did an interview in the 50s, which is pretty much our now. So I want to go into some of the stuff that he was going into that we haven't seen yet, because that could be coming in the near future here. So we could do that. That could be fun. I would like to do that with you. But okay, so for Walking Dead, yeah, I just would like to see, Kirkman a little bit more involved with maybe the TV series stuff and that. But maybe from now on he's just going to be involved in the movies pretty much. So yeah, and what Total Disclosure said before was pretty much right, so far as I can see. Maiden, you didn't send through another question. Do you want to send it through again? Let me look for it here and see. I haven't seen Tenet yet, Torrid. I want to watch Tenet. Is it any good? And what's in it? Is there any occult stuff in it? I bet there probably is, right? Any opinions on HARP, said John Locke. I don't have a whole lot of opinion on HARP. I don't know how you could prove. See, some of this stuff we can really put together a good case for, because we can prove who's involved, who's not, what they did, what they didn't. And whenever you see secret societies involved, typically that's when you get people that are involved with evil, typically. So that's kind of easy to see, and you can go through that. But for the that kind of stuff like HARP and that, it's very hard to know if it's true or not. I don't really have a strong opinion on those. I just say basically I don't know. Beaver said Building 7 was hit by debris and fires, burned all day, weakening the steel, causing it to collapse. No, it was blown out. Anyway, that's fine. I understand your opinion, but buildings like that don't just fall down from a little bit of fire, man. Doesn't happen. Okay, Lynn Slinks 34. Thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. But you didn't send through a question. I'm still waiting for Maiden Will's question too. Let's see. Okay. Are you off your meds, Trev? Max Power. So Max. All right. Let's put it this way. Okay. Where do I start? Wait. Actually, you know what? I can't, because there are certain people. Okay. So let's talk about the different compartmentalization of society and the different ways this works. So this is the thing about where we're in. Most people, 90%, 95% of people do not do their own research into finding out what's true and actually what's not true. They don't read. They don't go into it. They actually just turn on CNN and believe what Anderson Cooper is telling them. The problem with that is you're basically getting what I would say is pretty much a elite standpoint from that. You're getting the internationalist story from that. People who think that these things are all disconnected, they're not disconnected at all. Skull and Bones is a secret society. It's a well-known secret society, but it is not so silly as just a group where they get drunk in the weekends and do whatever. They do that too, probably, but they also fucking kill people. So you have to keep that in mind too. Freemasons are, for the most part, nice guys. I got about 10 Freemasons who subscribe to the channel. Most of them are lower-level Freemasons. They don't do anything bad, okay? But then as you go up into the higher ranks, you kind of get up into worse and worse people. And a lot of it's public. Like if you look at Epstein, okay, and what he was doing with Ghislaine, you know, that's not arguable. That's even the mainstream narrative, even they accept that that's true. The part that they don't really tell you is that he was a Mossad intelligence agent there. And what he was doing was he was tasked with recording video of Clinton and other people, a lot of prominent people, doing things they weren't supposed to do. And then they would take the tapes and they would use it against them as leverage to control them, to compromise them. So that's all public. That's not being a theorist at all. That's basically, there might be a little bit of conjecture in there about the tapes and where they, because I don't know where the tapes are that he recorded. I don't think the FBI's got them, and I don't think they will get them. But that's basically, that's just a little bit of a part of how the whole thing comes together. I've done videos showing the structure of our elites and how they control the world from the shadows, basically. And they do, but it's difficult for me to show that to you without you doing a lot of work on your own. You have to research a lot on your own to find out that this is actually correct, this is actually true. If you don't do that, I can't pass that to you in an hour or 30 minutes or 20 minutes. If you want to know whether or not that's true, you have to actually go through it. And if you're not willing to go through it, then you're going to have to believe you're Skull and Bonesman. So here I am as a free person, well, mostly free. Yeah, we're not all totally free, but mostly free. And, you know, I'm telling you something. Dr. Steve Pachenik would be telling you something. You could listen to his testimony and hear what he's saying. But the trick is that you're believing a Skull and Bonesman over someone who's unaffiliated with a secret society. Now, he was in the Council on Foreign Relations. He was in these things. So he's a little bit, but enough to where he still sided with the people. See, people like your Bushes, your Clintons, people like that, they do not side with the people. They don't really give a shit about the people, or they view them as basically cannon fodder. Now, if you're brand new to all this stuff and you just like Walking Dead, so you watch my videos for Walking Dead, you don't know how much I know about all this stuff, then that's fine. If you've never looked into any of this stuff, then that's fine. But I can promise you that there is more truth in that frame of mind than there is in the regular propagandized public opinion frame of mind. That's put there on place, you know, for a purpose. Okay, what do we got next? But again, I know people don't like it. People don't like it. So, all right, well, let's get back to Walking Dead because people are going to get mad. So you guys keep taking me in. And to explain it too, I'm just basically, I'm pretty much just going where you guys want to take me. So this is live. We're doing it. It's skipping because my internet connection is not the best, but we're still live, so that's good. But basically, I'm just going where you guys are taking me. So if you guys ask those questions, I'll answer them based on that. Okay, so Can said, Tenet is fun. I saw it. The villain had a chip that tells him his health status or something, and that's how they were able to find him. Really? Are you serious? As I remember the movie, not 100% sure. Are you kidding me? That's wonderful. Okay. Cody Spire says, Kirkman, I know, disliked the decision to kill Carl. He didn't like it, but he doesn't get final say in it like Gimple. I didn't know that he didn't like the decision about killing Carl. I hadn't heard that. I haven't read that in any articles, I don't think. I don't think he ever said that. I don't know. I never heard him say that. Tweak. I used to like you, but then you turned out to be a COVID denier. So I'm not a COVID denier. COVID is a virus. COVID exists. Okay, there is a virus as part of it, but it's a bigger program than just a virus. The virus is just a subsection. what's going to change in the future if they get their way is going to be much bigger than just a virus. It's going to be all the vaccinations worldwide, more cameras everywhere, chips everywhere, tracking, entry points with technology to verify you've been vaccinated. Otherwise, you have to wear a mask. You know, we're going to see a lot of other things come out of this than just one virus one time. So I'm not a COVID denier. COVID exists. It's a virus. It was probably released, most likely. It's part of a bigger plan, though. It's not just one deal by itself. See, this is what people keep doing. They keep going into, like, say one-itis, not in the way that the MGTOW guys say, but they keep going into one-itis with regards to each person. They keep seeing these people as, like the elites, as individual. Like the Rockefellers have nothing to do with the Gateses, and the Gateses have nothing to do with Epstein's, even though they hang out and stuff, right? They're buddies, and they have nothing to do with the heavy-duty bankers, and they have nothing to do with the Royals, and they have nothing to do with all this. The secret societies is where these all come together, and the Bushes and the others. That's where these all come together. So let's see. You're ending live stream, Michael? So, no, I'm not ending. This isn't my ending live stream, Mike Novak. This is basically, you know, The Walking Dead ending. We're doing a live stream. The reasons for it ending. Okay, Maiden will send through now. Well, thank you, Maiden. Well, I appreciate that. But you don't send questions through. Well, that's okay. If you don't want to send questions through, you don't have to. And thank you, Robert Frank. And yeah, Tweak08. Tweak, if you're brand new to all this stuff, Tweak, here's what I can tell you 100%. I know for a fact, if you go into it, you will be rewarded, because what you will get is a more complete understanding of how the world actually works. So let me give it to you this way. Here's the blind spot you have. You have a blind spot with regards to how the elites fit into the world. What do? How did they manipulate and control society? How did they control the world? Why did they set up United Nations? Why do they set up World Health Organizations? Why do they do all this? They're doing it to manage. They're not managing necessarily just through politics. There's more to it than just that. But the chunk you're missing is where the elites come into play with regards to the big picture. So you have all the money. Let's say you have billions and billions of dollars, whatever, hundreds of billions of dollars. You got all the money, you got all the stuff, you got all the time to do whatever. What do? Here's what you do. You manage the people. That's what you do. You get together with other elites, you manage the people. That happened in about the mid-1800s. It never went away. It's still right there. It's still there. But they manage your Gateses and your Faucis and your Epsteins and your Ghislaines and your United Nations people, your Ted Rosses and the others. They manage them to get what's advantageous for them. So that could be cameras that they want to put in everywhere. That could be chips. It could be ID tracking. It could be all these different things. Is all advantageous for them. It doesn't mean there's no virus. There is a virus. I believe there is definitely a virus. And it was released, but it was not a random happenstance, and it was not on accident. There are so many things leading up to it, predictive programming, the lockstep document we went over from 2010, all the other stuff that comes into it. If you look at it from the mainstream opinion, which is just Fauci and Gates, you understand when you watch CNN, all you're hearing is the Fauci-Gates narrative. That's all you're hearing. So when you believe everything you hear on CNN and on MSNBC and BBC and the others, depending on what country you're in, you are getting the Gates narrative. And that's one angle. And it's an angle for a reason. And yes, he's connected into Planned Parenthood with his dad. He's connected into secret societies as well. And, you know, royals and whatnot. Epstein, he's got pictures with a child trafficker. Bill Gates hanging out with Epstein. That doesn't disturb you. That doesn't upset you that you're hearing the mainstream opinion. And it's basically dictated by Gates, who's hanging out with Epstein. And the stuff he was doing, you know, the stuff Epstein was doing, right? You know what he was doing, right? So, yeah, so that's what it is. So, okay, let's get back on track. Marilyn's going to get mad. So Rob said, Trev, I found you because of Walking Dead, but look forward to Truth Talk and live streams more. I can tell you you're just as passionate about the truth as and BS as you are about Walking Dead. Yeah, keep the Truth Talk coming. Yeah, I love it, but because it's so, and thank you for your support again, Rob and Maiden. It's so important, guys, that we actually understand how the world functions, because this game only works for the elites, for them, if they keep you in the dark. And guess what? if you put yourself in the dark and you accept everything they say at face value and you don't think they lie to you about anything, oh boy, you are in for a huge surprise. It's probably your frame is backwards. Flip it around. Almost say that they lie about everything and then try to find stuff that they're telling you the truth about, because that's probably more closer to reality. They are completely and totally compromised. They're chicken pox, as Steve said, which I like that. I like that word. And they're just basically in it for themselves. And that's what we're looking at here. So what will happen in the future going forward? We'll have to see, man. But it could be some fun drama. It could be some fun stuff. And hopefully not too many people get hurt. But based on the power struggle that's going, the people are going to get hurt. You know, there's no, unless someone totally backs down and totally gives up a side and we surrender our rights entirely to them without any fight, which we actually might do willingly and with a smile on our face because we're completely controlled in the mind by them. Mr. and Mrs. Walmart are going to do it. So these are tricky questions, but the solution for the people would be other people to realize that this is actually correct and that this is actually what we're looking at. This is actually what we have. If we had that, then we could do something about it. But that only happens if more people start to realize they're being lied to about almost everything. Almost. Okay, let's go. Keep going. Yeah. All right. Okay. You guys keep bringing me into this other stuff. Oh, is the live stream chopping? Oh, damn it. Oh, well, let's see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's see what we got. Okay. All right. Let's do some. Yeah, we won't get into WikiLeaks, just one gun or anything like that. Let's go into some more Walking Dead stuff here because Walking Dead is ending, guys. You know, let's do that. Okay. Let's see what we got. All right, we got 160 people. Thank you for joining me. Okay, I did have some more questions prep. We did the Kidman one at the beginning of the video. So Kidman, if you watch this, go back to the beginning. You'll get your question answered. Andrew Ortiz had said, my reason to why the show has declined and become a mess. Killed most of the established characters, the constant changing of showrunners, actors wanting to leave the show, Walker's not really a threat anymore, and plot is getting stale. Characters always flipping ideologies, hard to get attached to new characters, no clear direction, too many characters, and not enough screen time to really care for the characters, etc. So his comment had lots of thumbs up. I forget how many, it was a lot. But he's got some good points in here. You know, I was watching the Turtles from the 80s the other day. The 80s and 90s, the cartoon series Turtles. It lasted for 10 years. The thing is, and they reinvented it a bunch too. They did like this Red Sky episodes at the end, which were more like X-Men action-based and stuff. When series run that long, be it 10 years or however long, it's just inevitably this always happens. You know, it's just how it is. It always inevitably happens that they run their course. There's nothing you can really do about it. It's just what it is. Tweako8 said, all right, Trev, I'll dig more. I've been watching your videos for years, so I'll take your word for it. The Normies YouTube channel sends their regards. Okay, well, thank you if you're a part of the Normies. Thank you, guys. And for Tweak, okay, here's the start. Go to band.video, watch the interview with Steve Pachanik, who was in the White House when it was completely compromised by the CIA. And go through it, listen to what he's saying, maybe buy his book if you want to, read it. If you want to know the real truth, there it is. What's shocking to me is that people roll over so easily to these people. They roll over so easily. So one of the comebacks for this, for Steve Pachanik's argument that this happened, and he knows it happened because he was there, and he was the first one who they asked, and they didn't go with what he said, which was to tell the truth and tell everybody that the government was completely compromised. He didn't do that. They went along with the Bush narrative. The skull and bones narrative, which was that it was Al-Qaeda and that whole thing. So, and then you guys saw the rest of what happened, war in Iraq, all the rest of the stuff. We never leave the Middle East. So that's basically what that is. So thank you for that. Start with that tweak and start with an understanding that, that the world can't be honest in that way as people want it to be. People want the world to be that kind of honest, open type of way. And it can't fulfill that desire for people to run that way. It just can't. The world cannot function that way. It has to function, intelligence agencies included, based on information control and deception. It just has to. It always has to be a nice story for the people that live in the country to the officials they're listening to. They won't admit if they're compromised. They won't admit, and they won't go with it. They'll side with the person who's at the top, and the person at the very top in that situation was Skull and Bones. So go into that to start with that. Question when you watch the buildings explode into fine dust, pulverize into dust. Question if you think that those planes would have smashed them down. Trump knows they wouldn't. The guy who built them knows they wouldn't, and they didn't. And so the obvious answer is, well, how much nanothermite or dynamite or whatever did they have to put in those buildings to blow them into dust? Why didn't they just stop burning and that was it? There'd be a hole in the side. Well, that's what would have happened if it was just planes. There's always a bigger story here to what's happening than what people get functionally fixated on. They get functionally fixated on the minutia of there was planes, but they miss how did the towers blow up? Well, the planes hit them and they collapsed. No, they didn't. That didn't happen. Building 7 did not get hit by planes. Had some fires. Buildings this big made with these steel columns that are just, impressive to say the least. They don't just get pulverized into dust because a plane hits them. They don't pulverize into dust just because. It doesn't happen. And Trump knows that, and he's your president right now. So it's sort of like, who are you going to go with? Are you going to go with your president that you have now, who's trying to probably tell people the truth and trying to do right by you guys, but the media is mind controlling everyone to hate his stinking guts? Or are you going to go with Skull and Bones? It's your choice. But don't look at Bush and Skull and Bones and think that these guys are just nice guys or whatever. They're not. They're bonesmen. Okay, they're part of a secret society that's very nasty, extremely nasty. And I wouldn't fuck with them. But I'm going to try not to get chicken pox, as Steve said. Okay, Robert said, Trev, I found you because of Walking Dead, but look for the streams of the truth. Okay, so as you said, I went through. It looks like it just showed it to me again. Keep the truth press coming. I'll try, man. I'll try. It's my service to the world to try to wake people up and to try to make them realize that we have just as much propaganda, if not more, targeting us than the Nazis did during Hitler's rise. It's difficult to look at yourself and realize that you're being propagandized yourself and that it's targeting you. It's very difficult to look yourself in the mirror and say, this is happening. I need to find out what's happening here. It's very difficult to do that. Most people do not have the courage. They get chickenpox. They do not have the courage to look themselves in the mirror and find out, is that actually true? Okay. Is it? They can't do that. Okay, Marilyn. All right, we'll go move on. Okay, yeah, free fall. Who knows? A lot of people know, man. A lot of people know. It's like you can know, and it's like, here's what I'll test you on. Don't you know? Like right? Inside somewhere, you do know, though, right? You do know. You do, right? But you don't want to fess up to it, so you put yourself in a state of that can't be true because then it would get out. No, because everyone does what you just did right there. They say it can't be true, so I'm going to go this way and go with a nice story. I'm not going to risk my family's safety or my safety to go against the Bonesmen and go against the CIA. So then it goes the way they want it to go. Okay. Yeah, 404. So this is tricky, 404. This is not my opinion. Steve is basically telling you from inside the White House, this is what happened. The whole thing was an intelligence compromisation, and that's the way it went. Now, if you start reading the articles posted by the mainstream news, if you go to the mainstream news to get your information, you're getting the information from the same party that pulled it off, that did it. That's where people get stuck because they want to trust the news publications and the media and everything like that. Completely compromised. They are completely compromised by the pyramid. And people get caught up on this because the pyramid is so vast and it's so powerful that they get completely in denial about it. Like, that can't be true. I'm telling you it is, because the power of money. They just buy them out, basically, and they put the right people in the right positions. That's what Epstein was doing. What do you guys think Epstein was doing? He was getting leverage on people like Clinton and the others. He was bringing them into the club. He's compromising them. So that's what's happening. But you got to watch it because the mainstream opinion is their narrative. It is their opinion. What's on Wikipedia, what's in the news, what's on CNN, what's on these places. That is their Deal. That's what they're going. That's going to create the truth, which would be your legitimacy, your Kissinger authoritarian truth. Right. Okay. All right. Now we definitely have to go because Marilyn's going to get pissed. So where's the data, Carol? Look at the flowers. So send me some proof on that. Okay. Here's your proof, Carol. Testimony from someone that was in the place saying it was all compromised. Ban.video. The interview with Dr. Steve Pachenik and Alex. Watch the interview. Hear what he's saying to you. Think about it. Does it ring true? But see, here's what you're going to do. You're not going to go watch it, are you? I know you're not. After this, you're not going to go watch it. I know you won't, because you just want to go back and block it out because it's dark and it's hard to it's hard to take. It's hard to accept, man, that happened. But if you want to go where the truth takes you, then you got to check your emotions at the door, because it's going to take you in some dark places. I'm sorry to tell you. It's going to make you feel uncomfortable. But otherwise, that's what it is. Yeah, zombies are real, right? Total Disclosure says zombies are real. They're the brainwashed masses. Yeah, the brainwashed people. Yeah, that's right. Okay, let's get back to Walking Dead. We're going to lose it. We're going to lose it. Oh, the UK just made masks mandatory, said Samuel. I'll never wear one. I just joined. Do you believe the no plane theory? No. There's planes. There was planes. They just flew them into the damn buildings. But were there anybody on board? I don't know. Maybe there was nobody really on board. Maybe it was remote control. Yeah, China. It's China. There isn't even really. Okay, so because you have the UN, the United Nations, it's more like, I view it as more of a teacher-pupil situation. The elites have won, and under that, whoever's favored best student is going to be treated better, right? And that's the deal. So, it's not, see, people always get stuck into this like us versus China thing, and they miss the United Nations. They miss the elites out of the equation. If you leave the elites out of the equation, you've missed the whole thing. The whole thing is screwed up, right? You've missed the whole equation. So that's the problem. Yeah, so, okay. Yeah, China is a tool of the elite. Absolutely. China is completely and totally 100% obedient. That's why Bill Gates was thanking them for their sacrifices right away. They do everything. They're completely obedient. Whatever Bill Gates says, they do it exactly. Whatever the United Nations say, they are extremely obedient. Whatever it is about them, their country's history or their people, or I don't know, maybe it's in their blood, for God's sakes. They are just a type of people that is completely obedient to any power, whether they're good, bad, whatever. They are completely obedient. They are not disagreeable at all to them. Maybe they just, so many generations of being under these different regimes, they've just become accustomed to it. And that's what it is. Okay, so that's let's keep going here. Okay, okay, let's do Walking Dead. I have some other stuff for Walking Dead. All right. I'm just answering questions, whatever people send me, rather. So that's what is going on. So Andrew O.T. sent that one through, and it was great. So the show declining and becoming a mess because established characters. Yeah. Well, eventually it was going to happen anyway. It's going to run its base anyway. And I was doing some number crunching with the channel last week this week after the news, and to see where the Walking Dead viewers are, to see you guys, like where you guys are coming from. And it looks like to me there's only about 10% of the people that watch these Walking Dead videos that we do that are from the search engine. 80 to 90% of the views and the videos I do, whether it be Walking Dead ending or whatever, is from the audience that the Walking Dead already has. So it looks like to me, the Walking Dead has its audience from before. And the problem is that the series over the years, it stopped bringing in new viewers at some point. That probably happened after about season 7 or 8. They stopped bringing in new viewers. And maybe there's nothing you can do about that because all shows run their course eventually, which is probably true. There probably is nothing you can do. It's going to happen eventually anyway. But it's very much a series of the 2010s, maybe not of the 2020s. So we'll see what happens here in the future and how people respond to it, how they respond to the movies and everything like that. But from what I saw from my own numbers anyway, it looks like to me almost entirely the interest in Walking Dead is coming from loyalist fans who are still there. And it's not really coming so much from new viewers. There's hardly any new viewers for Walking Dead compared to what's already there. Most of it is the audience they already established. AOTD said that you might not like me saying this, but Negan might die in season 11. He could be killed by Maggie or Sebastian or the guy who killed Rick in the comics. They could do a Negan spinoff, that could be a backstory. So that's true. I don't like you saying that Negan's going to be killed off in the last season. I hope Negan survives, man. Come on, Negan, you can do it. You can survive. I hope he does. But, because the series is ending soon, they could kill off just about anybody, right? They could kill off anyone. So that's the case. So, oh well, we'll see who survives in the end from Walking Dead. Who lives? Let's see what we got here. Okay, so they're submissive, Trev. So Laugh Slap Productions. Yeah, that's not a bad way to put it. That they are, right? It's unfortunate, but maybe generations of just that's the way it goes. So they do. So they just do whatever they're told. Yeah. Okay. And they have less respect for human life, I think, too. They have kind of at least their government certainly does, I would say. Okay, let's see what we have. All right, any Walking Dead questions everybody wants to know? Lots of this other stuff. Oh well. I don't keep up with the news anymore, FML. Mackie, that's good, Mackie. That just means you shut off the propaganda so you're not getting the mind control anymore. That's actually a really good thing. I have to admit that. You'd be better off without it. Based on the number of suicides this year, divorces, all that other shit, you'd be better off without their fear-based propaganda garbage. But to some degree, you have to know because now you have to wear a mask when you go in the stores and shit like that. Let's see what. Hardly any Walking Dead comments. It's all stuff for the other stuff. What is Building 7? Yeah, Carol. You see Carol look at the flower, says, "What is Building 7?" So. That's my point. You want to know my point? That's my point right there. You just asked what Building 7 is. There's your answer, guys. That's the world in a nutshell. That's why we're in the state we're in, because you don't know what Building 7 is, right? So that's the answer. That's the answer right there. If you don't know what it is, yeah, you don't have the ability to know because you haven't even looked at the information. That's the problem. You got to look at the information, hear the two sides of the story, and find out which one is actually telling you the truth. In this case, I'm telling you, after years of looking at all these different ideas, they are more correct or true than the mainstream. The mainstream is actually the one that is completely contorted and completely propaganda. So any news in the future of fear, says Huma. There hasn't been really any news in the future of fear yet, no. But we do know that fear is starting soon. It's going to start after the Walking Dead season 10 finale airs. So it's coming up soon, but we don't have any news on its longevity. We don't have any news on how many seasons are left. We don't have any news on any of it. And I hope the stream is holding up for you here, guys, and it's not too laggy, hopefully. We got about 170 people. Okay, let's keep going with your Walking Dead stuff. Suraj Kamal said, are The Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead in the same universe? I just finished Walking Dead. Should I watch Fear the Walking Dead too? Yeah, watch it, Suraj, because it may continue past the end of the Walking Dead series. And if it does, you might like it, and then we might cover that instead, or just cover that for whatever episodes they do. So check it out. It's not a bad idea, and it might continue on. So if it does, it'll give us something to check out, aside from the Carol and Daryl spinoff and the other stuff that's coming up. Okay, let's see what we got here. So, Mike W. Oh, right. Okay, he had a truther comment. He responded to me in another video. He said, people not knowing the truth is what keeps them shackled and dumbed down. Knowing the truth is always better, even if it's uncomfortable. And there are some wise words from a very wise man. Yeah, it's true, man. It is uncomfortable. And it's true because people don't know what's actually happening. And the media is so contorted and is so lost. They're so lost from what's actually happening. It's so sad. It's quite disgraceful that, unfortunately, it's sort of like, is democracy real? It's like, to a degree, democracy is probably real. But here's the thing. The elites figured out all you have to do to control democracy is you control the media. If you control the media, you control the minds of the people, and then you can steer democracy where you want it to go. And that's the elites' game. That's what they do. They steer the minds of the people, and thereby they control the democracy. So you have democracy, and it doesn't always work. Like, Trump gets in, and they probably want Hillary to get in. And they probably didn't expect him to get in at all, and he somehow did anyway. So, by controlling people through the media, you're effectively mass controlling democracy, because people say, well, I'm going to vote, so I have a choice, I have freedom, I have the ability to think and choose. You do, but only if you break out of the media mainstream propaganda. If you don't break out of that, then democracy is fake, because then your thoughts are engineered for you, your thoughts are mind controlled for you, and then the democracy doesn't matter because they're controlling the mob through the media. So you can't ignore the power that these people have through the media, through the news. They literally can steer democracy most of the time. And just look at all the different presidents we mentioned earlier. But sometimes you get one in like Trump that wasn't supposed to be in, so sometimes it backlogs or it doesn't work properly. Let's see if he gets back in again. Then it'll really mean that their tactics are not working, and they're going to have to go back to the drawing board and get those think tanks going to figure out what they're going to do next. So, yeah. Just One Gun said, would Heath be a whisperer or a roaming with a roaming ban? I don't know what you're going on with that. A whisperer with a roaming. Do you mean like when they had the bands for the different communities, when they wore, like Alexandria would have a color one and the others would have a color one? Is that what you mean? Boogeyman says, I want more Z Nation. It's crazy, man. Z Nation, I actually get a lot of comments for even nowadays. A lot of people still like Z Nation and they miss Z Nation. So I'm actually really surprised that that so many people like Z Nation now that it's over. Who knows? Maybe they could do something with that in the future. It probably won't, but it's different. Is it good? It's fun. It's silly fun. So it's what it is. But it's not too bad. Yeah, it's not too bad. Z Nation's pretty fun. Absolutely, yeah. Okay. Okay, what we got? Okay, Wacky Wolfie says, which Walking Dead character, past or present, would you relate to most, Trev? That's a good question. Who do I relate to most from the series? I probably say Rick, just because we see it from his perspective all those years. So I relate mostly to Rick, probably. But, you know, I mean, Daryl sometimes too, because we all feel alone sometimes as well. And he's kind of a loner type of character. So there's that. You know, sometimes you just want to go off by yourself and do that whole thing. So I get that too. But probably Rick mostly is the way I think of the series most, from his frame anywhere, his vantage point. So yeah, so I think I went through most of the stuff. Maybe that's probably good for today. I don't know. You guys want to keep going? We got 160 people. So maybe we can still go a little bit further. Any other questions or stuff you guys want to talk about? Let's see here. We got rumors say Maggie and Negan get married. That's this boogeyman. Nice. That's good. Yeah. So Rebecca Briggs, Trev, do you think 9/11 was an inside job? Well, I believe Dr. Steve Pachenik's testimony, and I do not believe Skull and Bones at all. So I don't believe Bush whatsoever. So Bush was lying, obviously. I mean, we all know he was lying. He called you guys fools. He said, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on you. Fool me 3 times, shame on me. He calls you guys fools. So why would I believe a guy that's making fun of you guys to your face and you don't even see it in a code, and said he thought it was a conspiracy, and then blah, blah, blah. You know, the whole thing. It's like he's done all kinds of other stuff aside from that, too. That's just a little microcosm. Yeah, of course it was. It had to have been. There's no other way you could have done it. They couldn't have pulled that off if they tried. You think that they could have pulled that off from the Middle East? They could have come up with that and pulled that off against us? No fucking way. They couldn't pull that off against us. They would have been arrested. They would have been caught at the airports. The planes would have been brought down in other ways. There's no way they would have gotten away with that. We wouldn't have let them get away with it. It was from inside. It was from chickenpox. It was from compromise. Yeah, Cheney and the rest of them. Absolutely. And who did it? Why did they do it? Well, they want the elites wanted to go in the Middle East again. That's why they did it. The plan for the new American century. That's why they did it. They did it because they were following orders they were supposed to. But Bush wasn't really calling the shots. He was the pet goat. He was just doing what he was supposed to do as instructed by the elites. Okay, yeah, Campbell. So they don't like it. They don't like it. They don't have interest in it. They don't want to hear it. They don't like it. So let's go back, because they don't like it, man. So let's not do it. Halliburton and the others. Yeah, there was so many things involved. You're absolutely right. So, okay. Tell me your thoughts on Michonne, Morgan, and the mask figured team up. The mask figured team up. What is the mask figured team up? I have no idea what you're talking about. But Latte, my thoughts on Michonne and Morgan. Well, I'm going to miss seeing Michonne. I think we'll see her back actually pretty soon, probably in the next few years in either the movies or maybe before the end of the series. Morgan, I like Morgan. I always like Morgan. I like seeing him in Fear. He's good. And Lenny James is one of my favorites. So I love seeing him there. And what else? That's all I got for you for that. Masked figure team up. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sorry, I'm not with you on that one at all. Okay, so let's see what we got. Yeah, sorry, Camp Hustle. I apologize, but it's just whatever people are talking about. I'm just responding. Nick Clark was the best Walking Dead character. Debate me, says Samuel Walters. Well, he was really good. It's a shame that he didn't want to stay in Fear and he didn't want to do some more seasons because he was really good. He had a lot of potential there too. So that's kind of sad. But oh well, we all make our decisions. We all have to choose what we're going to do, and that was his decision. So he made that choice. So we have to respect that. Again, he's also from the UK, right? So he's coming over as well. So yeah, so it's difficult for them. But you almost want to, if you got a good job, you almost want to buy a house in the US and just go there during that time or something, or buy a condo or something and stay there. So I don't know. It's people got to decide what they want to do. Their life is back there anyway, so maybe they don't want to do that. So yeah, Fear season 3 is amazing. I got to admit, absolutely it is. Okay, let's see what else we got. I'm starting to lose my voice, so we may have to wrap up soon. Breaking up really badly, Trev. Okay, Marilyn. Yeah, we might have to wrap up here. It could be the audio or it could be my freaking voice. I'm not sure which one. So, all right. Well, why don't we wrap? Because I am also kind of nervous that the stream could get removed or deleted. Yeah, I've done some reviews for Stranger Things, Samuel. I do like Stranger Things a lot. I think it's great, and I really enjoy it. So, hey, Phantom, are you just joining now? What's up, man? I was thinking about it's pausing. Yeah, all right. Well, that just makes me think maybe we should end it. So it sucks, man. I wish my connection was good enough here so that we could run it all the way through and there wouldn't be any, glitching or anything like that. It sucks, man. Our connections here are not the best. It's just I don't live in a main city, which in some ways is good, but yeah, it's going to do this a little bit. So, okay, well, a lot of other reactions this week were just people being sad about the finale and whatnot. And so there's, it is kind of sad, guys. I'm kind of sad too, but it'll be a good last couple of years and we'll have fun. It'll be fun. It'll be good stuff. And let's see, lots more videos to come. So I have more videos for you guys this week. So, but yeah, all words are made up. So remember the execs claiming it could go to season 20, and then he called them greedy. So, well, maybe the spinoffs could go for a while. Let's see. Maybe they meant with the spinoffs. We'll see what that is. So, Greedo187. I wonder how close to the comic ending the show will be. Probably pretty close to the comic ending. Just adapted for the characters that are alive in the TV series, but probably Commonwealth. Probably. But who would they have for the big final death? Because in the comics, it's spoiler warning. Rick dies at the end. So who would they have for the TV series then to die at the end if they're going to do that? Yeah, the comics ending was awful. Maybe it'd be better if they switched it a lot. Yeah, I agree. Okay, let's see. Total disclosure, well, it makes no sense. Let's see, what did he say? Watch Nosferatu. I don't have time. I probably won't. I got other stuff I got to watch first. The boys too, still. So, okay, so. I think that's it pretty much for today. Okay, so Camp Hustle, US and us. So he wants to understand what I'm saying when I say us. Well, okay, so Camp Hustle, I view us all as the people. So when I say us, I mean the people. They want that division among the people. They want people to divide. They want to do it based on nationality. They want to do it based on all of that. They want a totalitarian system, but to get it, it's interesting how they have to divide up the people and get in the fight amongst themselves so then they can do what they want. When I say us, I mean us, the people. We, the people. Not the elites, not the billionaires, not the Epsteins and the Clintons and the families of the 13 and the others. I mean, or United Nations people. When I say us, I mean us, as in we're the same, whether you live in this, a territory or this city, or you live in the U.S., you live in Canada, you live in the U.K. or wherever. I mean us, the people. So we're the ones who they're targeting. We're the ones who they're managing. So I mean us as a whole. Yeah, that's what I mean. Okay, let's see. What else do we got? Okay. Yeah. Right, the people together. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, have yourself a good night then, Marilyn. I think we mostly covered most of the stuff for Walking Dead. Okay, here's one. Crucifix Fan Club says, do you think the movies won't happen now and Rick will return for the last episode? Oh, that's a good question. Will they scrap the movies and have Rick return? I think they're still going to want to do the movies because I think that they're thinking that could be big time for them. But selling it via AMC Premiere also might be an okay idea. We'll see what they decide, but so far as I last heard, the movies are still a go, and they're still going to continue. Yeah. So far as we know, that's what it is. Okay. Occam's Brett, just watch Occam's Brett. Just go watch Steve Pachenik on Band.video. Go to Band.video and watch him. He'll tell you the inside info about what was happening there. Yeah. So, yeah, we got that. Okay, Henry Lamone sent through a super chat. Thank you, Henry. You said it makes sense. The show's ending, if you think about it, if you look at the comic, there really is only one season of material left. They're going to quickly wrap up Whispers and jump straight into Commonwealth. Yeah, I think you're right. I think we might even see the end of the Whispers in this finale. I thought they might go in those extra 6 episodes. Maybe they still will. But it sounds like they're going to wrap up Whispers pretty soon, maybe in the next let's say 7 episodes, or maybe next 1 episode, but maybe next 7 episodes. And then after that, it'll be Commonwealth for the other episodes of the season 11 finishing up, and 24 episodes of Commonwealth, and then it's going to be finished. And that's going to be the end of the Walking Dead TV series. So, yeah. Okay, let's see. What else we got here? Do you think they'll merge with Fear, Dwight? Well, they can't possibly merge with Fear because it's going to be ending the original series. So we could see them in other properties in their spinoff series. We could see other stuff like that happen, which could be kind of cool. But we'll have to see what that looks like. Yeah, it does make sense for the show's ending, though, Henry. You're right. And there isn't too much comic material left as well. If they finish up Whispers soon, then we're really getting close to the end, and that makes a lot of sense. So Samuel says Tobias will be the Walking Dead final boss. No, I don't think so. Yeah, Mackie. Yeah. The funny thing is, Mackie, is that what's happened in our world is that truth has actually become the what's unpopular. The truth of the situation, even when it's abundantly obvious to anyone who's using an independent mind, the truth of what's actually happening is typically right now is frowned upon, is rejected, is pushed down, it's not wanted, it's unwanted. And so we've done it ourselves as people, we the people, I'll say us again, we've done it. We're the ones who want to have that nice narrative. And in exchange for having a nice narrative, we have basically handed over the world to these people that are taking it where they want it to go. And we're giving more and more away of it all the time. So that's just going to continue unless we do something about it. And I don't see anyone doing anything about it. So it's just going to be the way it is. And you have to be open-minded, but also, Mackie, you have to be able to think critically and think about who's telling the truth and who's lying. And here's the trick. Once you know someone is in a secret society, don't trust anything they ever do or say, ever. Never trust them. Because if you do that, they're going to bastardize you. It's sort of like, I think Mark Devlin used this example a lot. Fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 3 times. It's like that. If a salesman came up to you and they sold you something that was faulty one time, they ripped you off. You say, he ripped me off, whatever. Then he came back a second time and he ripped you off again. And you say, damn it, he ripped me off twice. And then he came back a third time with an offer. And he said, here's the offer. I'm going to sell you this story, okay? It makes you feel real good. And it sounds like it's true. It's not true, but buy it, go for it, right? And then you say, but you ripped me off the last 2 times. You lied about the last 2 times. You lied about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. You lied about this. You lied about that. You guys lie all the time. So how can I trust you to buy this? And then the person says, okay, I know I lie all the time, but this one time, just this one time, believe me, please. It's a good deal. It's whatever. And then you say, okay, just this one time, I'll believe you. That's what you're doing. So it's like, they lie to you. And then, but just this one time, because it makes you feel good, you're buying. You're saying, okay, I'm going to go for it. I'm buying. And I'm saying to you, if it makes me crazy, the answer is I'm not buying. Period. I'm not buying. No, Mr. Skull and Bones, I'm not buying. That's all there is to it. So that's the difference between us. So if you want to call me crazy, fine. I'm not buying. You can keep getting scammed and keep buying all you want, right? Go ahead. Have you seen the movie Titanic? Yes, Tim, I've seen Titanic. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah. So that's it. Yeah, just look at the politicians when they mention corona outside of Sweden, alarmism and emotion over facts. Yeah, it is. Now it's tricky. You got to be really careful because part of it's true, right? So if there's this virus out here, then that part is true. But that doesn't mean that it's not manufactured also. It doesn't mean that there isn't all this other stuff that's going on behind it that's driving it forward and a reason why it was brought out. So that's where you got to be really, really tricky. And here's the answer. You know what the answer is? Keep learning and keep cleaning lies. Keep learning, adding, cleaning. Learning, adding, cleaning. And if you do that algorithm over and over again, what you'll do is you'll get closer and closer to what's actually correct and what's actually true. If you hear just the mainstream opinion and that's all you get, which is propaganda, and you don't clean it and you don't learn the alternative other side of the story, you get brainwashed. And that's what brainwashing actually is. Brainwashing is you're just hearing the one side of the story, you're hearing the one angle, and you're not investigating the other angle, and so they have your mind. That's it. The magicians have you. And that's the way it works. And if you don't hear the other side of it and clean the information and find out who's lying, then you're under mind control and you can't get out. And that's just what happens to the majority of the people. I'm sorry to say it. That's how it works. Do you like the band Muse? I think so. I think I like the band Muse. I've heard some stuff from the band Muse. Yeah. Trev, do you think they will jack the ending of Walking Dead like Game of Thrones? No. Huma, I think they'll stick their landing. I think they will. And so I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping they stick the ending for Walking Dead. I think it'll be good. I think they'll stick it because I trust Angela Kang to a degree. Has she lied to us so many times? No, I don't think so. Kimball lies a lot. I don't trust him. But I trust Angela Kang to a degree. And I think she'll do a good job of wrapping it up and it'll be good in the end. And I like it. It'll probably be better than the comics. The comics ending, I didn't really like that much. So I think, well, some of it's okay. The Carl stuff's good. But the other stuff with Rick, I was like, I don't know. I thought it could have been better or maybe longer or something. But the TV series, I think it'll have a good ending, and I think it'll turn out pretty good. And yeah, so I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good. So it's got to be better than the Game of Thrones ending was. Absolutely. So yeah, lots of truth or lyrics of news. Oh, cool, Sam. I'll have to look into it. So is their background? Have you looked into their background? Are they from a bloodline or anything? Any of the singers or anybody from a royal bloodline? Or any of the Masons? Have you looked into that? I like to look into some I like because I used to love Blink-182, and then I found out that Tom DeLonge's most likely a Mason, and I think Mark Hoppus is his name. I think he's a Mason too. So they're both Masons. And now Tom DeLonge's doing the alien thing. So it's like you have this lying Mason. I'm going to say scumbag because I like his music. You have this lying Mason, and now he's doing the alien disclosure thing. So it's like, for fuck's sakes, nothing that comes out of him is useful now. I don't care. Well, you better show something really, really good for me to pay any attention to it. Once you have Mason, you mix Masons and aliens, it's like, well, fuck, we're fucked now. It's all garbage. You can't trust any of it now. It's all chicken pox. It's all garbage. Do you like Celine Dion? No. Why would I listen to Celine Dion? Good stuff. But okay. All right, guys. I think I'm spent, man. Thank you for joining me. Okay. Samuel says, I'm an Eric Dubay fan, so I'm with you. Eric Dubay is fantastic. If you guys don't know who Eric Dubay is, he's got a lot of balls. He calls out a lot of Masons, and he is basically the premier flat earther in the world, I would say. Pretty much. He's on YouTube. He's got a channel. I think it's been shut down once or twice. He's redone it. He's got some books. He's got 200 proofs the earth is flat. The earth is not a spinning ball, which is really, really good to go through to understand what he's saying. And that one is a whole can of worms that I care not to get into. Go ask Eric if you want to know about that. That one is, man, crazy stuff. I'm just drinking double shot, vanilla caffeine drink, basically, to keep me going with this one. I'm not a flat earther, but yeah, he goes into evolution, dinosaurs, nukes, all that stuff. He's very good. I'm not a flat earther myself, mostly because I don't have the balls to. I don't want to discredit all the other stuff I'm saying by saying I'm a flat earther, because I know that nobody is a flat earther. Basically, it's what percent of the population thinks the earth is flat? Probably like 1%. That's it. Almost nobody thinks it's flat. But he's got some good stuff. You can go through it. But NASA is completely a Masonic deal. NASA is completely, not going to say compromised. They're complete garbage is what they are. And all their shit is fake. And if you look at there's so many channels, maybe not everything they do is fake, but most of it's at least half fake. There's a lot of channels that just go around and catch NASA making mistakes. And they just post videos of bubbles and all kinds of other stuff that's not supposed to be there. They just post all kinds of stuff showing how fake NASA is, which is awesome. Yeah, I know, Sam. I know all this stuff. I've watched most of Eric Dubay's stuff. I think he's fantastic. But he is fighting an impossible battle. I'll say it that way. He is fighting an absolutely impossible battle that cannot be won. It's an impossible battle. You can't win that battle. Even if he's right, you can't win the battle because you can't. You're not going to be able to do it. But it's cool stuff. I like it. It's fun. Yeah, I try. Oh, thank you, Sam. I do a little bit, but people don't like it, Sam. It's like Eric Dubay. People hate Eric Dubay. A lot of people. You know, what did the one guy say on Joe Rogan? F you, Eric Dubay. Right? He say that. What a bastard. Because here's the problem with this stuff is that when you get further into it, you realize that it's almost like everybody's a scumbag liar out there. You know, it's like everybody's a scumbag. So who do you trust? Who do you listen to? Do you listen to Neil deGrasse Tyson? He might be one of the biggest scumbags of all. Do you listen? But he plays a good game, right? Do you listen to Bill Nye, the I'm not a science guy? Who do you listen to? These Masons and their garbage. And it's like, man, it's crazy, man, at a point. So, yeah, so there it is. So, yeah. So I don't get into flat earth. Maybe, you know what? Maybe we'll do a flat earth live stream. We'll do that. Maybe I'll ask Eric if he wants to do it with me. He's over in Thailand. I don't know if my connection will hold up, but maybe we could. That could be fun. I'd like to do that, but I'll piss a lot of people off if we do that. So I'm up for it, but maybe we could do that. I'm not going to debate him and argue with him. I can't defend the globe model against him. I'll lose. He'll win. If I debated Eric Dubay and I tried to take the side of the globe model, I'll lose. He'll beat me for sure. And I think he'll beat Neil deGrasse Tyson too, actually. If he debated him too, I think he would win. And I think that's why Neil deGrasse Tyson won't take him up on his offer. But I won't beat him if I was to debate the globe model. I'll lose. I wouldn't want to anyway. Because, yeah, he's already gone through everything and determined that it is flat and that it's a lie. The trick is that we have Satanists at the top of the world, right? At the very top of our society. And I know that for a fact. So these bastards, the question becomes, what did they lie about in our society and what didn't they? And if they lied about that, man, that would be a colossal lie. But NASA's a huge lie. You look at NASA and the shit they pull, it's ridiculous. You know, it's crazy the stuff they lie about. The moon landings, International Fake Station, all the other stuff they do. And people catch them on it. And what do? They remove their footage or they change their pictures or they take them down after they get caught doing stuff and by the people. And it's like, wow, man. So, you know, it's if that was true, let's put it this way. If Eric Dubay is right and the earth is actually flat, then our society is so unbelievably propagandized and contorted that it's almost beyond repair at that point. If that was true, and we were living in some kind of terrarium type environment, and the atmosphere, you don't pop out of the atmosphere. It's actually a hard barrier, and you can't go beyond it. And everything that we see beyond it is propaganda and garbage. If he's right about all that, man, it would mean that it's sunk. I think it means that. I think it means that it's sunk because then you have convinced people over the past couple hundred years of something that is completely not true, and you have convinced them that it is to the point where the majority thinks it's laughable that it could be a lie, or the majority thinks it's laughable that their experience, because it seems, okay, I won't get into too much. We'll kind of wrap up here soon, but it does seem flat. You know, when you're out there, the water, when you see ships go over the horizon and then you zoom in with a camera and they come back, that means it's not curvature. That means that that's the limit of your vision. So your vision's going to a point. And when you zoom in, it comes back because it hasn't gone over curvature. It's gone out of the limit of how far you can see. And then when you zoom in or take a telescope or something and go further, it comes back into view. So when I look at their proofs for curvature, they all seem garbage. I almost think Eric's right. I don't want to say it because it's like, oh man, can't say it because if he's right, it's like it means that everything is so sunk and the people are all convinced of it and they have conviction that it's true, that would be a mind altering truth, that everything we know is a lie. If you got to that point, everything's a lie then, basically. And is that true? It might be. But here's the thing, people won't entertain it and put the effort in to figure out if it is true or not. What they're going to do is they're going to turn on Neil deGrasse Tyson, they're going to turn on Bill Nye, the I'm Not a Science Guy, and they're just going to hear what they say and say, oh, I feel better now. That's right, you guys didn't lie about absolutely everything, did you? It's like these lying Masons. It's like, what don't they lie about? They lie about everything. It's like you can't catch them telling the truth. It's like a Mason telling the truth. It's like, oh, you told the truth. Oh man, that's so cool. Yeah. Is Rogan's DMT experience? Yes. Sam Walters. Yeah, Sam Walters called me out, guys. He says, you know he's right. You know it's flat, right? Oh, man. Okay, so Miro. Okay, so here's what they're saying, Miro. Have you looked into what they're saying? You haven't, have you? Okay, here's what they're saying. They're saying that Earth is a created system. It's a locked-in created system created by, a god or something of the sort. And what the Satanists have done is they've convinced everyone that it isn't. And they've convinced everyone through the educational system and through the Royal Society, through Darwinism and through the key people going back the last couple hundred years. They've convinced everyone basically that the atheist angle is the correct angle. And that's because the Satanists want everyone to be atheists, which is in the protocols too, that they want everyone to be atheists. And the Masons also say Pike says, we're going to unleash the atheist and the nihilist. And then they have done that. So basically what it is the argument is, did the elites, the Masons and the Satanists, did they, through the Royal Society, because a lot of the Royal Society are Satanists, did they teach everyone a model that is false, that is fake and not true? And is it actually flat? And are we actually in a terrarium? And is that why everything NASA does looks fake? Because it is all fake. Is that what that is? That's what their argument is. Their argument is that it is all fake, and the Satanists and the Masons did lie about everything, and so it actually is flat. And they have a lot of proofs to go into for that, like us being able to see too far away, us being able to bring ships back over the horizon with zoom cameras, which proves it's not curvature. What else they got? They got some really good stuff. The distance to the sun. So I think you can use trigonometry from two different spots to create an angle to where the sun is from two different spots and find its distance. And when they do that, they find it's way closer than the official narrative tells us that it is, like way, way, way closer. I forget how many, what do they say, the factors, with what is it, are they called, sectar or something like that? Anyway, with trigonometry, you can kind of measure the distance to the sun from two different spots if you use spherical trigonometry. And the distance to the sun from us and the moon too is completely misreported. Like our official narrative is that it's way, it's so far away from us, and it actually isn't. And it's more like a God created, object there for us that kind of goes around. So I don't know, man. That is a huge can of worms. That is a completely different deal. I don't get into it much. I stick with what I know, and I try not to get into that a whole lot. Can I defend the globe model against them? I can't. They'll beat me. Is it possible they're wrong and that NASA is telling them? Well, NASA, okay, here's the deal. All right, we'll continue a little bit longer because I'm having so much fun here. NASA is a bunch of liars, okay? And if you don't know that, you need to research it. NASA are, I'm going to get myself in trouble here. Okay, because they're intelligent, they're connected with the intelligence agencies too. I'm going to get a phone call. I'm going to get a phone call tomorrow, guys. NASA are the biggest liars on the planet. Everything they do is basically propaganda until proven otherwise, in my opinion. There are so many things they have done that is completely crazy. All you have to do is watch a few YouTube videos. There are hours and hours and hours of filming mistakes that NASA has made to prove that they are not in outer space, to prove that they are not. So then the flat earthers come in and they say, why are they lying about everything? Why do they do that? Is it because they actually can't go in space at all? Maybe they can't. And so that's kind of their angle of thinking there, is that they actually can't go because there's a barrier, and that's what holds the air in, and the air doesn't all escape into the vacuum of space, right? Is that there is a barrier there, and so that's why all the air doesn't float out of the atmosphere, it doesn't float out of the Earth. And one other thing I thought was interesting is, how do you travel in space? Because if it's an empty void, if it's empty space, how do you steer? How do you steer in nothing? Wouldn't you just spin out of control like crazy or something based on your momentum as you come up through? Wouldn't you just spin out of control? Or how would you steer back? Like, how could you turn around? I think they tried to say that with the moon landings, they somehow slingshotted back or something like that. It's all fake. So, yeah, that's a good question. D-Cell's got a good one. Where do satellites go if they're right? Where do satellites go, or are there no satellites? Now, I think their argument is that satellites were brought up first in science fiction before they were actually there. Now, there are some, I think that they agree, the flat earthers agree, that there are some devices up there. But, how do they kind of float or stay in position? So I think that they're arguing that it's all basically ground-based mostly. Maybe they bounce signals off of the atmosphere or terrarium, however you want to look at it. And that's where you get that from. But I don't know how, right, and they also claim gravity's not real. JamCam knows. So JamCam 22 says no gravity, so it floats. Right. So they do say gravity is false. They do say there is no gravity. They say that it's density and buoyancy. So when something's heavier, it falls down, and when something's lighter, like air, it's going to float up. And that water always finds its level, so therefore it has to be flat, because you can't have convex water curving around the curvature. Okay, so the oceans are flat. And also, to their credit, when you look through a camera at the oceans, they are flat to the eye. And as you zoom in, they're still flat. They're always flat. When you send up a air balloon, the horizon is flat. It's always flat. So that's true, unless you're in like a Red Bull dive thing, and then the inside's flat, and then when you dive out, then it's curved. Because they curve it on the outside. So they got all these things that they catch them doing, and they're like, I caught you, inside it's flat. Then you jumped out, and then it's curved, fisheye lens or whatever. You're screwing around. So anyway, there's some good stuff to it. It takes, that one, the learning curve on that is years. It's not as easy as Skull and Bones with Bush, where you just say, okay, he's Skull and Bones. We all know that. Then they ask him, and he says, yeah, I'm Skull and Bones. I'm part of the secret society, but I can't tell you what we do because it's secret. So that one's confirmed. It's easy to know. He admits he's Skull and Bones. But with this stuff, it's like, if they lied about that, it means everything's a lie, right? And so some people, like your Eric Dubé's or Southern Israelite, I think, they go so far as to say it is flat, and that's correct, and you guys are all lying, royal, satanic scumbag Masons. So that's what it is. Who's right, who's not? I don't know, man, but they got some really good stuff. I was impressed. I looked through it. I thought it was a joke. I looked through it, and I was like, they got some really good points. And NASA is fake. I mean, it is absolutely freaking fake. So, and you don't have to, if you've never looked into that, you owe yourself to look into NASA fakery. All you have to do is look into it a little bit. They catch them with strings holding up the astronauts at the International Space Station. They catch them with green screens. They catch them with air bubbles. They catch them with too many light sources. They catch them with all kinds of stuff you guys wouldn't believe. So basically, they're catching the stage. They're showing that it's a film, that it's not true. So, so there's good stuff. Stingray Gray 427 man says, "LOL, you can see and track the International Space Station." Yeah, you can. So you can see that there's a light there if you do it yourself. They do give you the coordinates and all that. So it's really tricky. But the thing is I don't think we should throw out everything the flat earthers say, because they've got some good points. Ships at harbor, ships as they go over, that is just the limit of your vision. That's not curvature. When you zoom in, they do come back, and there's a lot of videos of that online, which is pretty cool. And you can see farther than you're supposed to be able to, so that's also cool. And you can see that there's proof of that online too. So it's definitely good stuff. I like it, and I think they're doing a good job. Because I know that the elites lie about a lot of stuff, and so does the mainstream. This question, though, is that it's such a big lie over hundreds of years. Could the Masons have pulled it off even if they wanted to? That's a good question. But Hitler did say, if you want to lie about something, make the lie big. Make it, this isn't his exact quote. I'm kind of giving my fuzzy memory on what Hitler said. But he basically said, make the lie huge, make it big. and then people will believe it, because then they'll sheepdog each other and they'll take from authority. And so if you're going to lie about something, make it humongous. So yeah, so that was one of his quotes, because they did that in Germany, right? They lied about a lot of stuff. They did a lot of stuff that was terror tactics and stuff to get the people in line. Ladre Grant said, "Hey, Trev, love your videos. Who do you think will take the roles of Rick, Michonne, and Dwight in the Commonwealth storyline?" Oh, man, great question. Crazy loaded question. So Rick's not there, Michonne's not there, and then she brings up Dwight. Well, they could still do something with Dwight because he's in fear, but you're right, it won't be the equivalent because he's in fear, he's in a different spot, and Dwight in the comics does die near the end. Michonne in the comics survives, right? So who will get her spot? So I think, because even though she's off screen in the movies, I think Michonne will probably still get her a similar type of ending to that, something like that. I don't think they'll really swap that, but it's a good question. The biggest one for me is who will get Dwight's death? Maybe like someone like Aaron or someone like that. Could be Rick's death or Dwight's death at the very end. Maybe Aaron. Who else we got? Gee, man, I'm trying to think. Who else is there that's like Eugene or somebody like that? You know, maybe something like that. The show would be ending anyway, so I don't think it would be too bad for them to do those. But you're right. They'll have to swap them out for somebody. But I hope that they kind of change the ending almost entirely, because I didn't really like the comic ending all that much. Is his name? What's the kid's name? Spencer, the kid. What's his name? It's not Spencer. It's oh, damn it, I lost it. The kid who's Pamela Milton's son, who's the spoiled up, the spoiled brat. Someone help me out with this. Sebastian, thank you, Leolo. My brain's failing me after 2 hours of this stream. Sebastian, the little prick who shoots Rick. So in the comics, Sebastian shoots Rick when he's like sleeping. It's terrible. It's like the worst ending for Rick you could think of. So I really hope they don't do anything like that with Rick. Maybe they could do it with Aaron, and that would be all right. But I just maybe don't do it at all, because it's not that great. You sneak into someone's room and you shoot them while they're sleeping. It's like the worst ending ever. It's like the most lackluster death ever. I'd like to see them die in battle. Like maybe you have Aaron fight against Mercer, somebody, and maybe Mercer kills him or something like that. Something like that in a civil war. Something like what we might see in a month here in the States. Something like that, would be really good. People stabbing each other in the back, that whole thing. It's almost like a political, thriller type of thing, which also are based on real life, which again, we're going to see in the States during this elections, probably. Let's hope nothing bad happens, but something like that we might see. It just takes one side. All it takes is one side to stick it in first, to stab in the back first, and then the other side, and then you go back and forth and back and forth. So it could get, there could be blood. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I'm looking for in the States is whether or not we see that. But I hope they change the ending. Sorry, guys, I got some bugs in here. I hope they change the ending, and it gets better. So yeah, YOLO. Sorry, man, I can't adopt you. He wants me to adopt him. This shit's gonna hit the fan in the States. I hope for you guys it's not too bad. I don't think it will be, but it is kind of a recipe for a powder keg, right? It's like the comics. In the comics, one of the issues is called powder keg, right? With Dwight and that kind of stuff. And so, oh man, something like that might happen in real life, right? I just hope the good guys win this time. Henry L. said, what if Morales survived the arrow from Daryl? And Morales takes Sebastian's role from the comics and tracks down Daryl and guns him down in bed. Yeah, Morales shows up and gets back at him because somehow he survived the arrow. Yeah, right. Thanks, Henry, and thanks, Ladre, for the super chats. Send through any of the questions you have if you want, and we do it. Oh, so Camp Hustle. So YouTube research. Well, video testimony is good. Video testimony is really good stuff. But yeah, you got to read too. You got to buy. You got to buy some books for sure. You gotta read. And if you do that, you'll find that there's some really great information out there on the side of the people and for us. And so you'll get it. Some of David Icke's stuff is really good if you want to go through some of David Icke's stuff. But if you don't like any of it, I totally get it. Here, I'll do this one with you, Camp. Do you think there's any conspiracy theories that are correct or are true? Do you think that Apollo 11 moon landings were fake? Do you think that 9/11 you can go on? What other ones are pretty big out there? JFK, And then we don't talk about music ones anymore on purpose. Let me know which ones you think are correct or are not. Let me know if there's any. Okay. Okay, let's see. Henry, did I miss another super chat from you? I got the Morales one. Which other one did I miss? Thank you for the super chats. I'm going to scroll up. I'm sorry if I missed one. Sometimes I do this. It's my bad. Oh, yeah, you did say the one for Mr. Burns, Jake. So Henry said that guy, Jacob Rothschild, looks very creepy. So he's Mr. Burns. Mr. Burns in The Simpsons is based off Jacob Rothschild, in my opinion. On Wikipedia, it says he's based off David Rockefeller. He looks nothing like David Rockefeller. He looks like Jacob Rothschild, especially a younger version of Jacob Rothschild, Red Shields. So he's very creepy, and he's most likely. Can I say he's the ruler of the world? He's pretty much the ruler of the world, I think. I mean, I don't know. Okay, here's the question: is who could be more powerful than him as the head of the Rothschild family? I don't think there's anybody, because the Rockefellers answer to the Rothschilds. Who else is more powerful than him? Only people that some people will bring up is the Queen. Sometimes they'll bring up the Queen and say Prince Charles and the Queen, but I don't think so. Maybe because he's older, Evelyn at the time could be more powerful. No, I don't think so, because I think the branch of the family in the UK is more powerful than de Rothschild is French, right? So that's the French branch. Sometimes I get the branches of the family. I know the family's history, but sometimes I get the branches mixed up. But yeah, Jake is probably. There's pictures of him with Warren Buffett too, and Arnold, right? Yeah, I guess when you become super famous, you get to meet the ruler. That's what happens. you get to meet the boss dog. Yeah, if you're Arnold, you get to meet the boss dog. You get to meet the guy who's in charge of it all, right? So I think he's the most powerful person in the world. Do I think he's still the most powerful? Yeah, I think he's still the most powerful person in the world. I think so. I can't think of anybody more powerful than him. I'm trying to think about it. Like, okay, who could be more powerful than? Some people would say Trump. It's like, no. Trump's got some power, but he's not that powerful. But the thing with Trump is that he's taken the reins, though, too, right? So he's been president, but he's actually taking the presidential power and using it. Most of the other presidents don't do that. Clinton, he was a shill for the Rothschilds and for the Zionists through Epstein. So. Yeah, so Trump is a rare president that's actually taken the power and actually done stuff with it. But no, I think that the Rothschilds are still at the top, and I don't think anybody's above them. Who here thinks? Here, give me a comment. Who do you think's the most powerful person in the world? Maybe we could do one on that. Have I tried the Walking Dead wine, Elite Gamer? No, I can't. HBO sent me some Game of Thrones beer. I think they had a beer line. They sent me some beer. And the border turned it back, so I wasn't allowed to get it. They sent it for free, but then the border turned it back and said, no, this isn't allowed in Canada. So we have rules and stuff. We have our own liquor control board, and they don't let everything in. Yeah, he probably is, Huma. That's probably true. But the mainstream people won't know that. They'll think he's the worst because of the contortion, the way it's switched back around. So who's the most powerful out of everybody are behind the scenes? Well, the Rockefellers and the Rothschilds are behind the scenes. People don't know them, like going down the street, walking down the street. They don't know who Jacob Rothschild is. They have no idea. They don't know who David Rockefeller is, not really, or was. They don't know who he is, or is a junior now, right? Is his son. Is his son who's the head of the family now? I don't know. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Canada's the most powerful country. Yeah, right. No, but who's the most powerful person in the whole world? Who do you guys go with? Trump has some dollars. He doesn't have that much, not compared to the families. He's very low compared to the families, I think. I think he's a chump compared to the families. I think the families, I would say, if you added them all up, trillions. They'd be in the trillions, I think. For what they own, it'd be trillions. Camp, you didn't respond to me, did you, about any ones that you think are correct or are true? None. So does that mean you buy the programming all the way through 100%? You buy the mass media mind control 100%? So you're a zombie then. Not that I hate zombies. I like zombies. We do Walking Dead all the time. I like zombies. If you're a total zombie, I'm cool with that. I'm just trying to find out if you figured out any of them are fake or any of them are false at all. I don't think you have. So you're a total complete zombie then, right? Is that right? So it is. Yeah, Agent Smith then, right? Some secrecy guy in the U.S. Sorry, I got some bugs in here, guys. I've turned the lights off. Yeah, the royal family still has pull. You're right, Huma. The royal family does still have pull. It's not like, what was the one who was in the pictures with the Epstein thing? He hasn't been arrested by the FBI. What was it? Prince Andrew? Is that? I'm trying to think the names. I'm losing it, guys. I'm starting to fade here. So, yeah, they've got some pull still. He didn't get arrested for anything. So, yeah. Yeah. So he's got some. Yeah, Camp, I asked you a serious question though, Camp. Have you actually figured out that any of them are true? Like, what do you think about the moon landings? You think the moon landings are real? You think they actually did it? How do you explain all the light sources and all the problems with them? Or do you even know them? Gulf of Tonkin, right. But what if they did it now, Camp? Would you buy into it? Because you're buying into the stuff that's happening right now. So that's the problem. You're just saying that basically the stuff that happened before you were here was true and you accept it. But then you don't accept the stuff that's happening while you're here right now, while you're around. Yeah, burning of the Reichstag. What about the burning of Building 7? It's even worse. That's like nothing compared to the Reichstag, right? You blow up these 3 humongous buildings, and the Reichstag's like whatever. You blow up these skyscrapers into dust, and the Reichstag is small beans, man. That's nothing compared to what they did. Most powerful person for sure, Rothschild. Yeah, Huma's with me on this. Yeah, I agree. Some people go into Jesuits and stuff like this, but I view religion as lower on the totem pole. At the very top, it's money, man. Money, baby. It's money. That's what makes it happen. It's the trillionaires. They're the ones who really are pulling the strings, in my opinion. And everybody has their price, right? And they get paid well. They get paid really well. What's the net worth of the Bushes? What's W's net worth now? I bet you it's pretty high. I bet you it's pretty damn good. I bet you it is, man. Absolutely. They pay well. Hey, if you sell out your country, you get paid well, man. So, Van Allen radiation belt. Yeah, Jay Spot brought up a good one. Okay, thank you for the super chat, Jay. So, right. So, one of the theories is that because there's the Van Allen radiation belt, the astronauts, who are mostly all Masons, pretty much, they can't go through it because if they go through it, they'll die. Basically, they get radiation poisoning, and we don't have shielding that can properly protect them from it. Because it's so powerful. So that's Bart Sabrell. That's what he accepts because he's not. Or is Bart Sabrell a flat earther? I guess he would be because he believes he takes the Bible as literal. So I guess Bart Sabrell would be a flat earther, but he doesn't talk about it because then he would say, but he thinks you can go into outer space. So Bart Sabrell thinks you can go in outer space. But some of the others think you can't. Like Eric Dubay thinks you can't go. Well, I think he thinks, I don't want to speak for the man. Go to his videos if you want to watch Eric Dubay, hear what he's saying. But basically, if there's a barrier there, then it means you actually can't go. It means it's locked in and it's impossible to get out, even if you tried to bomb it or nuke it or whatever. If you agree nukes are real, they don't think nukes are real either. Typically, they think that they're all firebombing, which they might be. I mean, I don't know. It's a good point, but I don't have strong opinions on those ones. But they've got some good points. But yeah, the Van Allen radiation belts are apparently so deadly if you try to go through them, you die. So that's where the fakery comes in, is that you don't put people in jeopardy to die. Instead, you film it. You get Stanley Kubrick or whoever at the time to film it, and you do it in a studio, and that's how you make it look real. That's how you do it. Henry LaRose, the Queen is definitely not the most powerful person. Yeah, I know they try to argue with me that the royal family is still at the top, and I think Dr. John Coleman in his book, The Committee of 300, which I should have here for you guys. I'm going to buy it. I'll put it here because I've gone through it online, but I should have a print copy, Committee of 300. His book on the Committee of 300, he puts the Queen at the top of the Committee of 300, but there's a bunch of Rothschilds in the Committee of 300. Not just Jake. There's a bunch of them. There's Evelyn. There's, I think, Jake, too, oversees it. It's not called the Bilderberg, by the way. Bilderberg is a name that we gave to it based on the building, I think. It's actually called the Committee of 300 for the big meetings that they do. And they've done that for hundreds of years, I believe. I think the protocols mentioned the Committee of 300 back in the 1800s, I think. So the Committee of 300 has been around for a really long time. And Dr. John Coleman said that they answer to the Queen. I don't think they do anymore. Or maybe she, she can probably barely think at this point. But do they answer to Prince Charles? They have a seat. So Prince Charles and the royals, they have at least a couple seats in the Committee of 300. But I do not think they run the show. I think that the Red Shields run the show internationally. I think what happened, this is what I think happened. I'll just tell you guys, this is conjecture. This part is theory. I think what happened is, in the last 200 years, everyone else was looking out for their own country and themselves. And the Red Shields decided, fuck the countries, let's take the world. let's take the whole world. And so through the pyramid, they decided to set up the United Nations, League of Nations, and then the intelligence agencies also. And basically through the families and through their control, through Freemasonry and through the pyramid and the what we call the Illuminati, which is just the elites, really. They were able to basically set up world control of the whole world. So everyone was looking at their countries in between themselves, and they were looking at each other and what's good for our country and what are we doing here. And they decided to creatively set up a world government in the United Nations and the others, World Health Organization, the others, Rockefellers, Rothschilds, the elites. They did this, and no one stopped them, almost because creatively, no one was thinking to do it. Everyone was thinking about themselves and their own countries and what was happening there, which we still do. Look at the division in the States. We still think in terms of our neighborhood, and they weren't thinking world. And these elites got together and they started thinking world. And so they set up in the last 200 years the world government, which is just the United Nations, basically. And that answers to them. So there you go. Yeah, NASA's got it. Camp Hustle. Georgia Guidestone's first line is to maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature. Yeah. Isn't that scary, Camp, when you find out that Bill Gates is a eugenicist and then you read that? I don't know if they're going to do that. I really don't know. That would be a crazy thing to do, to go for that. Man, that would be really, really crazy if they went for it. I don't think they will. So Camp, so you actually do think that this is a population management deal this year. Okay, I'm impressed. You just don't think September 11th was a deal. Well, that's fine. I'm okay with that. At least you're questioning things and you're finding out what you think is true and you don't. And you just think that Arabs with IQs of 80 and caves decided to create this elaborate intelligence scheme and kill themselves by flying frickin' 757s or whatever the hell those planes were that actually hit into some of the biggest buildings in the world for no apparent reason. For why would you do that and kill yourself? I don't know, just because you hate America. Death to America, I guess. So I guess you just think that they just want to do that because they just are, and not that they don't sometimes do that. Sometimes, radical, this radical behavior does exist. It does happen in some occasions. But you'd have to be really radical to be flying that thing at the front right there as you fly right into the damn thing. You'd have to be really crazy. So man, you'd have to be nuts. Or you'd have to be really, really evil and a member of a secret society and get into a government and then basically chickenpox the whole government and then do it yourselves so that you can go into the Middle East like you want to. Which, by the way, Trump is pulling them out of the Middle East now. They are not. The internationalists are not going to like that. They cannot be happy with what he's doing. Everything he's doing, from what I can see from my vantage point, is against what they want. So he's a hero, man. He's a real life superhero. Is basically what you can say. He is against the internationalists. He is not going with the program, and nobody knows it. That's the sad part. Is that everyone thinks he's this idiot, buffoon, misogynist, dummy guy. And it's complete contortionism. In reality, he's saving American lives. He's bringing people back home, getting them out of these endless, useless wars, and he's saving the people. And everyone's mind controlled by the media to think that he is this supervillain character. It's really crazy. It's almost like you flip the reality and then you get the truth, right? You got to reverse it, and then you get it. Wait. Camp, you're saying that you do think it was an inside deal? I thought you said you wouldn't. You were just trolling me. Okay, Huma, have a good night. I'll see you soon. Yeah. Stream is still going. I left for a while. Boogeyman's back. Yeah, I don't know. You guys got me still talking. I guess it's 10 o'clock, so we should wrap it up pretty soon. Yeah. So, and to the people who don't like this stuff, listen, I'm going where you guys take me. This started as a Walking Dead stream. We did Walking Dead for over an hour, I think, or so, maybe longer. And then people started sending through super chats and questions for my opinions on this stuff. And we got into it. We even talked about flat Earth, which I want to do more on because I think it's more on flat Earth. And I want to do more on flat Earth, more on. I want to do more. I want to do more on flat Earth. Maybe I'll see if I can get either SI or Eric to see if they'll do one with me. We'll see if the connection can hold up for it. That could be a lot of fun. We could do that. That could be good because I want to hear. I'm intrigued. I don't know how you explain satellites then if there's a dome. I really don't know how you do. Are they near the top of the dome and somehow they float there? How does that work? Yeah. So yeah. Uh, okay. Yeah. Queen definitely is not the most powerful. All right. I think we got caught up there. Okay. Henry says the last three Rockefellers lived very, very long. The last one lived to like 103. I think it was 102. And the past two lived to 97. They all live, these elites live these ridiculously long lives. Like a lot of us, it wouldn't be uncommon for us to die at 50. These people live double that. You know, David Rockefeller, 102. You know, they live these uber long lives. And if you think of David Rockefeller, you cannot think of a person who changed the world more than that man. That man must have changed the world more than almost anybody else you can think of. If you think about the people that changed the world the most in the last couple hundred years, I would say, well, Hitler in a negative way, right? Or ultimately in a negative way in the end. But, you know, Stalin, David Rockefeller on our side, supposedly, right? The Rothschilds, Crowley, you know, who else changed the world like an insane amount? Well, Bush, the Bushes did too. And now Trump's trying, but typically when you go against him, you end up in like a Hitler category. So we'll see if they can Hitlerize Trump. I think they're going to try to. So we'll see if they can convince people he's a Hitler. Let's see if they can. I don't know if they can or not. Yeah, Bill Gates, there's another one, right? Another person like in the last 100 years, Microsoft, and now eugenics with the vaccines, right? Who else changed the world a lot in the last 100 years or so? We got to wrap up soon, guys. It's getting late. So, the hang from a string, blood cleaning treatment. Okay, what do you say here? Favorite seasons of Walking Dead, Sam wants to know. Well, you know, season 6 might always be my favorite. And, you know, I like the earlier seasons too. Season 9, at a time, I thought season 9 might be the best season ever. Really great. Maybe it is the best season ever. 6, 9, 5, those seasons, man. Yeah. And I do like 8 a lot too. I really do. Maybe 8's one of my favorites too, even though everybody hates it, which does have an impact on me. Yeah, he's no hero either. Word, he's the best we got. You know, Trump might not be, you say, well, he's not a hero. Well, he's the best we got, man, because otherwise, who are we going to get? We're going to get Bushes and Clintons and just these and Bidens and these corrupt elite panderers. You know, these elite shills is what we're going to get. We're not going to get any change. We're just going to get these elite pandering, paycheck taking scumbags. But that's ultimately what it comes down to: is you do what you're paid to do, right? Who's the boss? The man who pays you. That's who the boss is. And that's why the elites are so powerful, because ultimately you come to the conclusions that they want you to come to. If they're paying you, and this would be a flat earth argument, I guess, if they're paying you to write in evolution as fact and it's real, then you, being paid, write in evolution as fact and as being real. So you can kind of see how the bankers took over almost everything else too, because they're paying everybody. So then they get to create it how they want it to be if people want to get paid. And guess what, guys? We all can relate to that. Anybody here doesn't want to get paid? Everyone wants to get paid. You go to work for a day, you want to get paid. So if you want to come to a conclusion, you better come to the conclusion that the boss says in order to get paid. And that would be the flat earther argument, is that in the last couple hundred years in our education and science, they have paid people to come to atheistic type conclusions that they want them to come to. And that would be one of their key arguments. So Henry also said, thank you again for the super chat, Henry. The Queen isn't the most powerful person because her net worth is only 500 million. That's nothing compared to the Rothschilds and Gates and Bezos. Yeah, you're right. And Gates and Bezos, I think this part's theory is nothing compared to the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the other families. I believe, okay, so on Google, if you look up David Rockefeller's net worth, do you know what it says? It says 3.3 billion. That's 33. So here's what I think that's actually saying. In the pyramid as a Mason, once you get to the 33rd degree, you get to illuminate and learn how it all actually works inside. So I think they purposely put 33 or 3.3 billion for David Rockefeller, because what that means is when you get to the 33rd degree, here's the encoding. When you get to the 33rd degree, you get to find out what it actually is when you're illuminated. It's probably I think it's in the trillions, or at least in the hundreds of billions. The top 10 Forbes list for the richest in the world, that's like the richest for the profane. That's the richest in terms of like the people on the outside. the old families and those in the illuminated degrees, they own, Standard Oil. They owned Exxon Mobil's banks, all this stuff, Feds. The amount of money that these families could potentially have is unknown to the unilluminated, but it could be trillions or at least hundreds of billions. At least I don't think for a second that Bezos or Zuckerberg or Gates or any of these people have the kind of money that the old money people have. The old money people have, if they were to sell all their assets and companies and everything, the evaluation would be, I think, in the trillions or at least the hundreds of billions at a minimum. I do not believe that Bezos or these people are the richest people in the world. No, they're the richest people in our world to the profane. To the inner world, to the rulers, I'm sure that's nothing. That's like, that's child's play compared to them. Owning all the banks and everything else. Just imagine, man. It's like they create, it's like, who cares about your net worth when you can just create money? When the Fed just prints like trillions and just buys up all the stocks and everything on the balance sheet. It's like, whose balance sheet is that on, though? Is that on the U.S. Fed's balance sheet, or is it in the banker's balance sheet? Because if it's in the banker's balance sheet, then you know that their net worth is in the trillions big time, because it's right there in front of you. It's just a question of whose balance sheet is the quantitative easing trillions on. Is it on the U.S. taxpayer's balance sheet? Under Trump, you think it probably would be. Or is it under the banking families that own the different banks of the Federal Reserve? Is it on their balance sheet? Because I'm not sure if the Federal Reserve now is actually public, like American, or it's still private. I'm not sure. I think even that's argued. I'd have to look into that more myself. Okay, let's see what else we got. All right. Okay, guys. Yeah, it's private. Misty says it's still private. So if it's private and the families own the banks, then their net worth is in the T's. It's in the trillions easily, because the balance sheet shows that the banks are in the trillions. So if they have a high stake in that, they are at least trillionaires at minimum. Would they be decatrillionaires? Probably not, because that's pretty high. I don't know if anyone's really decatrillion. That means 10 trillion or higher. I don't know if that's true. Maybe the Red Shields are decatrillionaires. I don't think so, but would it surprise me that much? If you've seen their mansions, it wouldn't surprise me that much, but I kind of doubt it. I don't think so, but yeah. Okay, so Henry says, I don't think Jacob is the most powerful person. I think he is in the lower part of the Rothschild family. There's someone more powerful than him. So he's named, Henry, as the fourth Baron Rothschild. So he's a baron. So there's barons each time. So far as I know, he's the head of the family right now. Now, am I wrong about that? Is Evelyn on the French side, is he more, which is, you can respell Evelyn to, it's a guy, by the way, Evelyn to be, you can spell it as 11 too, as well, right? So, which is like 9, 11, 11. Yeah, 3.3 trillion would be more like it, Misty. Yeah. So I don't know, it's kind of like the argument, well, if there's anyone more powerful, then you don't see them there behind the scenes and they don't have a public profile. Well, fair enough. Maybe that's true. Maybe it is. And you can't really disprove it. But I kind of try to stick with what I know. And I know that they created Israel. I know that there's videos of Jacob on YouTube saying that, yes, we created the whole country. We created Israel. Basically, he did pretty much, because he's the head of the family now, and his family did it. So basically, it's his. So that's 8.8 million people that live in that country as a corporation, which they created. So it's their country. It's their deal. They made it. So, and they're still alive. They're still an entity. So if it was hundreds of years ago and that entity was gone, you could say it's kind of like a free country. But if they just created your country, made it, and you're still right there, it's like it's yours. You made it. It's like if you start a business and then, the business continues from family to family, but it's still yours, right? That's the way you can think of it. It's like it's their country. So, yeah. Yeah, so I try to stick to what I know for certain. I know that for certain, and I don't question him when he says that. So that's why I stick to what I know for that. As far as the Jesuit idea or the unknowns behind the scenes, maybe there are, but there's no way for us to know that if that's hidden in illumination, to where you only get that if you're really high up in their ranking system, their pyramid ranking system. Okay, let's wrap for now. Yeah, Satan controls the family, says Boogeyman. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is, according to most of the testimony and most of the books you can buy about it. The Families of the 13 Bloodlines, the Illuminati. Fritz Springmeier did one on that, and he named them too. So if you want to buy that, the CIA has it. CIA.gov has the Bloodlines, the Illuminati. He's got several parts to the book too. I want to buy them, but they're actually really expensive. So I might do that, but that's cool. Gloria says, the girls hate it. The girls don't like it. And I know why that is. I mentioned it a few times, but they don't like it. Some of the girls don't like it. Some of them do. I remember this was a Walking Dead channel. Hey, I go where you guys take me. I go where you want to go. So I'm just going with you guys. That's it. So anyway, okay, let's wrap with a Walking Dead question, because this is supposed to be a Walking Dead video about the damn series ending, and you guys keep bringing me into truther stuff. Runer Down said, I almost had a heart attack thinking this meant the end of the channel when I did the video. No, it's not the end of the video or the end of the channel. Don't worry, guys. Many more years to come, and there'll be lots of other series in the future we'll probably do. And I can do this truther stuff with you guys forever. The only problem is people don't like it. So, so that's the tricky part. Lavernus Tucker says, literally killed off characters for no reason. Now they're ending it for no reason. I do kind of wish Carl was still around. I got to admit it. I do. So that's it. So, okay, hopes for the final years, YOLO. That's a good question. What are our hopes for the final years of Walking Dead? Well, I hope it has a good ending. I hope that the Carol Daryl spinoff gets at least 1 or 2 good seasons. And I hope it's fun. That's what I hope. Okay, guys, have yourselves a great night. And I'll see you again soon. This was an extended one. Reptilians took it over, right? Yeah, the Ice Switchers. Watch the interview. Look up Rothschild on interview on YouTube. You can find an interview with one of the Rothschilds from the 90s. It's kind of greenish tinted, and he kind of looks scaly to me. So check that out if you guys haven't. See, he's doing this tongue thing. It's cool. So check that out. You know, I'm not really a proponent of that idea, but yeah, it's cool. Anyway, have yourselves a good night, guys, and I'll see you again soon. As always, this is Trev, and I'm saying peace. Later, guys. See you soon.